So I guess, I mean, it shouldn't be too hard because the positions are pretty straightforward, but I can probably try to share the screen if you want me to.
It's fine. I don't need
Okay.
it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Cool. All right. So it should be good. Just give me 1 second. So how you doing? You had a long flight back from India, right?
Yeah, so I also had to like get a same day plane ticket on the way over because my visa didn't arrive until too late. So I needed a new itinerary, so I had to get really crappy flights. So it took a long time to get home.
Oh wow. Oh, that's unfortunate.
It was fine. I mean, it's just time, but it was okay.
hmm So I assume you've been following the match like everybody else. You were in India, so I guess for you it's been much easier. What are your initial impressions so far?
Oh, well, I think that it's gone largely as expected for Magnus. I was a little surprised that Nepo has been as solid as he is. He always struck me as like a more dynamic player, but
hmm
you know, he sort of seemed to have made it work. But I guess this game 6 was a little surprising that Magnus managed to sort of win out of nowhere. It felt like Nepo sort of self-destructed with Rook AC8 and then not getting enough counterplay. But apart from that, Nepo's I think been playing well. And I'm a bit surprised that Magnus just keeps getting slightly unpleasant positions with Black, and
hmm
I guess it's giving him the confidence that he's holding him over and over. But yeah, I'm not sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of I kind of agree. I mean, I think that I mean, I feel like, yeah, I feel like Nepo's been too solid, especially with White. I mean, I feel like generally when he's done best is when he's like mixed it up, playing like the English very specifically, not just sticking to like the Spanish. 'Cause I feel like he's never really. I mean, he's played the Spanish obviously in recent years, but he's never been like a Spanish expert or Spanish theoretician, and he's getting these small edges that don't seem doesn't really seem like it's enough. So, and
Yeah,
then of course the blunder, obviously. I mean, that kind of has been the story. But I mean, it's weird though, because if he, because I feel like that game sort of clouds the whole. I mean, all of our judgment in terms of the match. If he draws that game or wins, we're like saying he's doing great. Like, so it's like
yeah.
very up and down.
Well, do you think he was ever really had like winning chances? I know the computer was saying if he took the pawn on b4, like Black was better, but it felt like that's going to be really hard to actually win.
Yeah, I don't think it was winning. I think actually it was more the time situation was the reason I think people were so optimistic, because Magnus didn't really have much time at that point in the game. So I think people just felt because of the being slightly worse and the lack of time that it might happen. But somehow it was like it worked against Jan. Like Jan didn't take the pawn, I think specifically because of the time situation. That's why I think he played the e5 move in that game to try and trick Magnus. This Magnus is like minute 30 or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah. So you think he lost because he was too ambitious there?
Yeah, I think he was too ambitious, but again, like it's hard because the press conference after the game was so brief that no one knows. But I felt like if he was being honest when he was like he thought the queen and bishop was even drawing quite easily, then he definitely like he just was too optimistic throughout the whole game.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
he's always been a very optimistic player.
that's true. That is definitely true. Yeah. So I guess since we have you here, you're the only I mean, you're one of like the only people I think who's actually been part of a team for the World Championship match. I mean, like if you look at any of the broadcasts, really. So I was kind of curious. Um, how does it? Of course, I'm not going to ask anything specific to the preparation, but like when you were working for Magnus, was it like you worked for like one color, one opening, or were you like working for both colors? Like, what was the? How did
Yeah,
all of
so
that work?
it was a little different. I'm sure, obviously, that Magnus now he's a very different player than he was then. So I'm sure that whatever he's been doing now is different. I haven't been on the team for some time, but I know that he would generally have two training camps back then, and I was only invited to the first one, and that's where he would just sort of say, "Okay, guys, find some ideas for me," and then he would look over them on his own, decide which ones he thought were most promising, and then go back over those in much more detail the second time around. So I was only invited to the first camp, and I obviously can't say what I analyzed,
Right.
but then coming into that match with Karyakin, I did not know what he was planning to play on move one, or even to be fair, I don't think he knew what he was planning to play on move one either, at least with White. But
Okay,
yeah.
so then it wasn't a situation where like during the match you're like on call, or it's like you'd be told you had to look at something once it started.
No, that wasn't me. I'm sure he had guys like that, but I was only sort of really on the periphery. It was a very valuable experience for me, and if Magnus wanted me, I would be back in a second. I really
hmm
learned a lot working with him and the rest of his team, but I was
Right.
mostly on the periphery for on my
Okay.
time on his team.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was kind of curious because I mean, because they're very cagey with the answers about trainers and like what they're doing or what's going on. So it's always curious to get some insight. So in this match, you think what do you think about Jan playing this Petrov? I guess this game itself is getting wild, but just in general.
Yeah, so I think that it comes back to the last couple of matches. I think Magnus has done a pretty poor job in the last two matches of getting a game against people who want to kill the game. I mean, both Caruana and Karyakin clearly had the "I'm going to kill the game with black and try with white" attitude, and there's nothing wrong with that. That was just how they chose to play. And Magnus did, I think, really not a great job of actually managing to get fighting positions with the white pieces. I mean, if you think about the match with Caruana, like, all of the fighting games were because Magnus was playing Svechnikov and aiming to fight with black. And
Sure.
I do think he played better in those games overall, and of course, eventually he won the match. But I think his ability to like make a game happen with white was really not that great. And so it's not surprising to me that Jan has followed in those footsteps and just sort of choosing the Petrov. And plus, he was playing it at the candidates, so that's so he has some experience with it. It's not too surprising to me that Jan came with a completely new repertoire, but he's really seems to be solving his opening problems. I just don't think he's playing the resulting middle games in the most incisive way, and that might just be because he doesn't have enough experience in these kinds of positions. You play Catalan for the first time really when you've been playing the Grunfeld your whole life. I mean, even if you're a really good player, there's things you won't quite grasp without the experience.
Right. So okay. So let's just get to the game, because this game has gotten very. It's been gone very. It's turned weird in like the last 15 minutes. So the opening was pretty normal. I guess 92. I mean 93 is the normal move there, I believe, but on move 7. But all this looks pretty straightforward. What do you think about this H5?
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of surprised by how this went. Like, Magnus came up with this idea to go knight takes d7, knight d2, and bishop takes d2. I mean, he's playing against the most symmetrical opening against e4 and wants to make it even more symmetrical, but somehow this worked reasonably well. Like, Jan played bishop d6 really fast, and then next thing you know, after castle, position seems pretty unpleasant for black already. But I really like his decision to play h5. I think this was... I don't love his position, but like, what are you going to do instead? You don't really want to allow castle queen h5. What are you going to play, like c6? It just feels somehow this isn't going to work. And...
Well, yeah, because I mean, because the normal, this is a line, right, with the double pawns. I think with knight c3, this is pretty normal, where you have c2 and c3. But without the double pawns, I think this might just be better for white. Because like the whole f5, queen f3, c6, bishop f4 line, it's just better, I think, versus the other one with knight c3 on move 7. And it just looks unpleasant. So I mean, h5 is quite interesting, but it's actually gotten really weird in a hurry, because after queen e1, Jan could have played queen e7, and I think that would have just led to probably a draw.
Yeah,
but he went king f8, bishop b4, queen e7, and you've seen the position, obviously. Queen d2, rook e8, rook e1. Now he plays move rook h6, which looks pretty wild.
Doesn't feel like the right way to solve the problem of the miscoordinated h8 rook, because the h5 pawn is going to be loose. Like, say queen g5 here, it's not easy to play rook e6. But I was curious, I mean, maybe you were looking at the game before I was in the morning, but after queen e1 check, it feels like queen e1 check, queen e7 is totally automatic, and then Magnus allowed this, and Jan didn't go for it. Was there something that we're both just missing? Because there's no way they missed this move. They clearly both considered it and both thought it was wrong for some reason or another, right?
That's not my read of the situation at all. My read is that after h5, Magnus probably thought he was slightly better with one of these lines, like c4, rook e1, or queen f3, but he couldn't really reach a position where he was convinced that it was much better. And I think he thought that maybe there was some risk, or it could get really sharp and double-edged. And I think he just played queen e1 sort of as a draw offer because he's leading the match. That was my read of the situation. And that somehow Jan, because he had played h5, was like, I have to try to win now. I can't pull it back and make a draw since I played h5. That was actually my read, because I don't see anything after queen e7. I mean, you can trade, but king e7, king f6, and rook e8 is just absolutely nothing at all. So
yeah, I mean, I guess there's h4, and just don't get mated in one move, and then you're fine, right?
Right, h4, g6, yeah, like rook fe1, king f6, h4, g6, and then rook e8, and I mean, this is as dead as it gets.
Yeah, so, you really wonder what... it's possible you're right, I can't really... I guess it probably makes sense. Like, what could they have missed? I don't really see what it could have been. It looks incredibly straightforward. But yeah, it's a little surprising to me if you are. I mean, I guess Magnus taking this long on the move, he took like half an hour. It wouldn't be too surprising if he was sort of thinking a lot and thinking maybe this is too risky. But you got to feel like if he must have been prepared. I mean, this knight takes d2, he played bishop takes d2 so fast. He must have known the machine was giving him some edge. You think
Right.
he really just wants to coast to victory with 1 point more and not like try when he knows the computer says he's better?
Well, my guess is that he wasn't sure what to do after H5. I mean, H5 is a theme. It is playable. I mean, I think in some positions it's considered dubious, but it's not like it's an original. It's completely original. Because I think with the pawns on C2 and C3 out of the knight C3 move order, it has been played, or in certain positions it's playable. So it seems a little bit dubious, but I guess yeah, Magnus probably spent 30 minutes. I don't think he was sure what to do. And he's like, okay, well, I'm getting low on time. Don't want to let this get messy, and so I'll take the draw and move on. Especially because Jan has shown absolutely nothing with the white pieces. That's my read at least.
You're
Um,
probably right. You really think that Nepo's shown nothing with white? It feels to me like Magnus is always slightly worse with black, but just always manages to get out of it without a ton of trouble.
I mean, I guess like this is game 8. So I think game 5 was it the one where the C4 C5 that first Rook B8 anti-marshal. He might have had something significant, but I felt like in general these advantages have been like computer edges. To me they feel like they're too small for a human to convert. Is how I felt generally.
Yeah,
Um,
I suppose that makes sense. It almost feels they're just more like Magnus-like positions. I feel like you give these positions to Magnus with white, and he's gonna make your life really unpleasant. But somehow with black, he holds them together so easily. It's really strange.
yeah.
But so like, if Jan is to get back in this match, how do you think he's gonna do it?
Well, I mean, first he has to survive this current position, which does not look good at all to me. Position after Queen G5 that's on the board looks really, really problematic. I mean, what exactly are you doing here? Is the first question. Because like H5, like if I get H4, and I think you're much worse for the whole game because you can never move the rook away without losing this H5
So
pawn.
I guess my first thought would be I'd want to play C6 and then play Queen F6 if possible.
Okay, so C6. Let's say I just play. I guess. Yeah, but here I can trade on E8 and go Rook E1 because Rook E6 I still can trade and go Bishop F1.
But okay, sure. But
So
then
so
say
Queen
Queen
F6.
at the
Okay.
end of that Queen F6, yeah.
Then if I play, I guess yeah, because if I go Queen G3, you have Queen D6 back to cut off the diagonal. If I go Queen E3, you just have like Queen E6.
Yeah, so
How?
Jan has played C6 actually.
Okay, so C6 is
So
played.
the question is how can White keep the pressure, but
Actually, yeah, it's quite tough here. I mean, maybe okay. Let's say I trade on E8. You take Rook E1, Queen F6, and I play H4 here.
yeah, I was thinking about that. So if I take it and go Rook D6 and just accept that I'm passive, but I'm ready to play Bishop D7, G6, and Rook E6, it feels sort of close to a draw unless
Mm-hmm.
you can do something direct, I
Maybe
think.
can I go F4 there to go F5 next move? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe you're too fast.
No, but you still have F6. With G6 and you have F5, and that's an easy draw.
Yeah.
It still feels a little unpleasant, maybe.
What if actually instead of h4 we go queen g3 back like you wanted, but then after queen d6 we play rook e5 because black cannot play f6.
So you mean so you're saying with eight after C6, you're saying with H4 or just rook
Let's say
E8?
c6 we go rook takes e8 check bishop e8 rook e1 queen f6 queen g3
Mm-hmm.
queen d6 like we were discussing, but then
Rook
after rook
E5.
e5 black cannot
Okay.
play f6.
Mm-hmm.
So you could go rook
Uh,
e6, but
yeah, I mean, I guess that's okay. I guess that's okay for black. Although, can I trade and go Queen B8?
yeah, I could certainly. Okay, then say we go queen e1 check bishop f1 and queen b4. It feels like black is sort of hanging by threads in some of these variations, and if we're missing something, he might just collapse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that looks like it's yeah. It feels like you're holding on, but barely there, barely
Yeah,
holding on.
like you're finding semi weird only moves, and if something is missed, you're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if. But yeah, I think this c6 queen f6 plan is what you have to do. I mean, you need to get this queen off of g5. As long as it
Right.
stays there, you will not fix the h6 rook, right?
Yeah, I think yeah. As long as the queen's here, this pawn is just too weak. Yeah, you can't ever bring the rook to the center. So it's this still though. This does feel like a Magnus position somehow, doesn't it? It feels like one of these like slightly better positions where you fall asleep or you just make one wrong move and it's all gone.
I do think coming out of the opening and into the early middle game, this is certainly the best position he's got with white yet.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, by far, I think.
Like this Catalan game from round two, Magnus was better for sure, but then he was worse, and it was just when he was better, it was messy. And
Mhm.
here it just looks like really uncomfortable for Black for the first time, and
Right.
it's sort of surprising that this like semi-symmetrical looking thing was the best chance Magnus could find, or that his team came up with. But they're making it look really good. I mean, sure, I suppose you could claim that after Queenie one check, Queenie seven was better, but
Mhm.
if we get rid of this move 10 move pair, it looks like both sides have played pretty reasonable moves. And then, it's
True.
unpleasant after Rook AE1. Jan makes a semi dubious decision with Rook H6, and then it's really unpleasant. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. This. Go ahead.
no, I'm done.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think it's but this feels like move by move. Time. I guess. Yeah, I just what I was thinking I was thinking when Jan played H5 and tried to make this interesting. I'm kind of surprised that he chose to do it with this opening, because I felt like if he wanted to try to play like H5 or be like play something inspiring, it feels like the Petrov is one of the worst situations, because just the position is symmetrical, so it's very very hard even if you play like H5 H4 to really get anything. So I'm kind of surprised by that. I mean, I guess I would say that I kind of wonder if they have if Jan has a backup idea, or what's sort of going through his mind, especially as he plays this game, because like
So,
if he loses here, the match is over, obviously. So
I mean, if
uh,
you were on Jan's team before the match even starts, are you really thinking of situations where I need to play for a win on command with the black pieces, thinking this is a realistic route to winning the match?
probably not like serious prep, but probably have some sort of offbeat idea. Because like I guess I kind of think of I think back to the match, and obviously it's a much different time period. I mean, 95 is not 2021, but when Anand played Kasparov after they drew the 8 games, Anand won the game 9 with white, and then he lost game 10 with black, and in game 12 when he had black again, he actually played the Scandinavian, and he did get I think he had a much better position at one point. So I know it's the times are obviously different, prep is different, but I kind of feel like you should have some sort of like light idea maybe in the back of your mind about what you can try. Of course, it's not going to work, but it's still like I think you should have some kind of basic idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Petrov is a fantastic opening to play for a win against an ambitious opponent who's going to actually come after you. But
Hmm.
if White wants to like take very few risks, you're never going to win this game. And Magnus here has taken very few risks, and he's also gotten a very good position.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if Jan is quite at the point where he's at the desperation mode of like needing to win with black on command. I mean, I still think he's getting nice advantages in most of his white games. It's just Magnus is outplaying him after that, and if he can like play a better game at some point, like maybe he'll get a slightly bigger advantage in the opening that he's been getting before, and be able to put a
Hmm.
little more pressure, play a better game. You could easily see him winning a game with white, and it feels to me like that's probably a more realistic route to getting back in the match than trying to just like immediately make a mess with the black pieces. But if that were the case and that were his attitude, you don't really understand why he didn't play Queen E7 on move 10.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say though is like having played Magnus a lot in the Spanishes, or seeing like even seeing Fabiano play. I think Fabiano probably is like this one of the strongest Spanish players in my opinion, outside of Magnus. Like I just feel like the edges, like it's not even so much that he doesn't have the advantage, but it just doesn't feel like it's in his style more than anything, which is why I don't think that he's going to keep going for it. But I also was surprised that like in many of the previous matches, Magnus is of course mixing it up, E4 D4. I guess he doesn't really play the English in these World Championship matches, but he's really mixing it up. And I feel like Sergey, Fabiano. I mean, Fabiano was different because that was a very sharp Sveshnikov, which was there was a lot of play no matter what. But I feel like Sergey and now Jan, they're sort of just playing the same thing, going into Spanish every game, trying to seek some small advantage. And I think that's actually maybe just plays much more into Magnus's hands.
Yeah, I mean he definitely plays these positions better than they do. That's there's no doubt
Hmm.
about that. Even when he ends up slightly worse, he's saving the games. But what would you do instead? Just tell Yano go play the Scotch and hope Magnus hasn't refuted it? Like
I mean, I think English probably. I mean, when I think about Jan and his style, and the way that he wins games, like I feel like I've seen him win a lot of very beautiful games in the English
he definitely
over the years.
has. You're right.
And it's not even so much that Magnus doesn't have prep. Obviously, Magnus has great prep for it. but it just feels like that's where he has the most chance of imbalance. I mean, I think that when I look at the match for Jan, of course, who knows why he didn't play Queen E7 this game, but if I think if the next 2 games are drawn, because they have a rest day tomorrow, then they play 2 games, and they play 11, 12, and 13. It's that final stretch of 3 games before the ultimate round 14 game where Jan has to go for broke. He has white, black, white there, and I think he probably just tries to win in all 3 of those games. Is my guess.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he's trying to win all of his white games anyway. I mean, it's just hard to do against the best players ever lived. But
yeah.
I mean, I was sort of thinking actually, when was the last time you saw Magnus lose on the black side of the Spanish? Like in a classic?
I mean, I feel like he's probably lost to Fabiano at some point in the past, but
he hasn't lost a classical game to Caruana since like 2015 or something.
Okay, it's been that long. That's actually a really good question.
Like, I can't remember him losing in the Spanish in a very long time. I know Anand beat him in some Briar, and he lost a couple Berlins to Caruana, but these were a long time ago.
Yeah, that was like Norway 2015. I remember that exact game. Yeah, you're right. Actually, you're right. Last time he lost, I don't know. I'm sure someone in chat knows, but yeah, the last time he lost with Black in a Spanish. Who knows? It's been a long time though. It's been a very, very long time.
Right. I mean, I feel like every time Magnus loses, it's because he gets crushed, not because he gets ground out.
Actually, that's a good point too. Yeah, usually it's like he gets crushed, or like he's trying really hard to create some sort of mess himself. But when he's just being solid, it doesn't feel like he ever just like he doesn't lose those positions where it's just very slightly worse. So that's a good point about this, and I do think that, I mean, at some point, like, as I said, I think those like 0.3, 0.4s, they feel to me like computer edges. They don't feel like a position that a human is going to win. Although that game 5 was that C4 C5 idea, it would have been really interesting to see what Magnus does there.
Well, I was actually expecting Black to play C5 himself once White played C4. That's what I wrote in the annotations, but I still think it's very unpleasant.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could allow White to push all the way to C5. But yeah, here, I mean, Magnus is still thinking after C6.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what he's thinking about. I mean, because the only moves that make sense to me are Rook E8, H4, I guess maybe C3, although C3 feels very, very slow. Those really seem like the only options, though.
Yeah. It feels like Rook E8 is the way, but after Bishop E8, Rook E1, I'm struggling to find the way in this line we were discussing with Queen F6, Queen G3, Queen back to D6. If Rook E5, there's Rook E6, and maybe we can just take H5, but I'm worried this Rook is going to come down behind us.
Oh, actually, I saw the bar get higher, so I was just looking at a quick line. Oh, okay, something just occurred to me. So this line we looked at before with Rook E8 and Rook E1 here, after Queen F6, Queen G3, Queen D6, Rook E5, Rook E6 is not a move there. Because after takes and Queen B8, if you check on E1 and go Queen B4, I have Queen A7. If Queen B2, there's Queen C5, King G8, Queen E7.
Oh, and the bishop is trapped.
Yeah, so...
If Rook E6 isn't a move, this has to be really nice for White.
Yeah, this actually... Oh, yeah, this feels really hard to play then. I mean, if you can't do that, maybe H4, Queen E3... Or Queen F. Yeah, actually, H4, Queen F4. This does feel pretty bad. This feels pretty scary for Black for sure. Yeah, then I think Rook E8 and Rook E1 has to be the way forward for Magnus if he's trying to win.
Yeah, but that's sort of what we were discussing. It felt like there were some only moves for Black, and if we randomly missed something, which in this case we did, which was this Queen A7, Queen C5, Queen E7, that the position collapses.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. This is. Wow. Okay, he takes. He does take. Not surprising, I suppose. And so we'll see Bishop E8. Rook E1 will be played. And then it's on Nepo. Yeah, I mean, the other problem is I feel like Nepo likes to be optimistic. And I feel like he's played all these extravagant maybe is the wrong way of putting it. He's played like H5, Rook H6, like this King F8. Like, he's played this to be active. And I think also it's kind of hard now to like shift to where you just defend. Like, it's very hard, I think, when you're trying to play really exciting creative chess, and then your opponent's like, nope, I'm just going to play like normal logical moves. And so I have a feeling, I don't know, I have a feeling Magnus is going to win this game. I just have that feeling.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, after H5, it sort of feels like you need to go queen h4, g3, queen h3, h4, and try to give mate. Like
Mm-hmm.
this pawn on h5 is really unpleasant otherwise, and
Yeah.
don't see a great way for black. I mean, we're in a position where like the whole h5, h4 go give mate is clearly come and gone. That's not going to happen, and so I just don't. This pawn on h5 ruins the coordination for black's rook. I mean,
Right, because you'd love to just be able to go rook e6 and trade, but I mean, this h5 pawn, it's always a weakness. It's a permanent weakness, and you can't go f6 either regard, because then you lose the e file and your rook can't come into the game.
So I have a really stupid question. Can we
Yeah.
get away with queen f6, queen g3, and queen takes d4? It looks suicidal, but I don't. Maybe just queen b8, rook e6, take it, and start taking stuff. But
Is that actually clear though? I mean,
I'm not sure.
so like if you trade on e6, take on b7, and black was like e5, e4, I think black is maybe okay here because the bishop's going to get cut off. I mean, the bishop's going to have to go back to like f1 or e2, and it's not that active. Yeah, I think black's holding on here if he gets this position after e5. So maybe queen d4 is the way to go
I think
forward.
actually I see what's wrong with it. We can start with c3 after queen d4, and then black doesn't have a great place for the queen, right?
Yeah, so c3, queen.
e6.
Okay, well c5 must lose because of some queen b8, I guess.
Well, Jan has played queen f6, so I guess we'll see. But I think queen g3 has to be most critical.
Yeah. Apparently Magnus lost. No, but that was not a classical game. My chat was telling me he lost to Fabiano, but that is not a classical game in 2019, I don't think. So
yeah, no, it's classical. I was really curious about. I mean,
so okay. Someone in chat did say his last loss was against Anand in Norwich. In that that was a Brea, right? I think so.
So you're telling me he hasn't lost with black in the Spanish in like 8 years, or no, 6 years?
6 years, yeah. Well, I know because I was there, and that feels like a long time ago. So, yeah, it's been quite a while.
And also, if I recall, didn't he just lose every game that tournament?
That turn, yeah, he didn't win that one, so it probably was a bad event for him.
Was that the one where you and Ludwig punked him in the last round? I thought that was the one.
Yes, it was the one where he took on c4 and bishop g5. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So like, you know, we're saying last time Magnus has lost with black in the Spanish was 6 years ago, and it's not like he hasn't played the Spanish since then. He plays it most of the time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's probably what I would say is I feel like the Spanish he understands it really well, and I think the choice just hasn't. I mean, again, like I said, the computer gives an advantage for white, but I really feel like it's one of those edges that only a computer can prove. I just don't feel like humans can prove it.
Yeah, and Magnus is always like outplaying everybody on the black side of these positions. But I've seen him lose more with the Italian. I'm a little surprised Jan hasn't gone there. I remember there was like he lost to Kramnik really nicely.
Well, I think he lost a very didn't he? I think he lost in the World Cup. I don't know if it was classical or it was one of the tiebreak games, but he lost to Asipenko.
Yeah, that was a tiebreak game, but
yeah,
he was struggling a little in the Italian there. I know Kramnik beat him. I would probably think the Italian is a more natural way to go for Jan at this point. I mean, of course, it's possible he just did his preparation for the match and said, "This is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm ready for." But I don't know. It's hard to tell him though. Like, if I were on Jan's team and I was like, "Look, you're getting good positions every time," and he's like managing to hold on, you don't really want to tell him to stop playing this opening, right?
I guess, but I'll give you the best example. So the best example, of course, is Gary Kasparov, and when he played against Kramnik in 2001, that World Championship match, I worked with him, so I saw his database, and there were 230 files in his database on the end game, and so he basically kept trying to hammer away at the end game over and over again. I mean, that's way too many files, obviously, and like he became so obsessed that he couldn't walk away from the opening. And like when you're trailing in a match, this is actually the same situation, right? Because I think Kasparov was down. I think he was down by a game midway in that match as well. Where I feel like you can't keep trying. I mean, even if you get a small edge, sometimes it's just not there. Like, I mean, because I think at the time, computers probably said in the Berlin, white was just better in the end game, or like 0.3, 0.4 also. I suspect it was the same thing. But it wasn't really, A, it wasn't really an advantage, and B, I mean, you couldn't prove it either. So I kind of feel like it might be the same sort of situation here. Like, you don't really want to tell Jan not to play, not to go into this because it's saying white's better. But I don't know if realistically you can break it down.
Yeah, it's a valid point. It's a good comparison. I know back then computers weren't nearly as good now, and I know they all egregiously misassessed all the Berlin
Hmm.
positions, and were suggesting weird moves that made no sense. I mean, even until recently, I thought it was only once the AI engines came out that machines started to like understand the Berlin. But
Hmm.
so here, Queen f6 is on the board. So Black has played the plan that I was sort of advocating, and the real question I'm wondering is, can we get away with Queen g3, or is Queen takes d4 an issue?
Well, I mean, if you don't do that, what I mean, because H4, you're right. H4 and Rook D trade and Rook D6. That looks like. I mean, that doesn't look like enough. It really doesn't look like enough to win. Black's just too solid here. There are no weaknesses. So, I mean, the only other move would be Queen E3. I guess that's the only other option you have. But still, I mean, even Queen E3 just doesn't feel like much. Bishop D7, like H4 next move, and then like I guess Queen D8 and Rook E6, and Black should not be in real danger. So I guess that's the question: is will Magnus try to be ambitious with Queen G3, or will he settle for a draw? I guess I think that's really the only question.
Yeah, I just don't see what to do after Queen takes d4. It feels like something should be there, but I'm not seeing what it is.
Yeah. Okay. What could there possibly be? Queen D4. So Queen B8 allows Rook E6. What else? Oh, what about Bishop F5? Maybe. Well, what about Bishop F5 to stop Rook E6?
Sure. So if I go Rook f6, you mate me on b8, right?
Yeah, Queen B8, and then you lose the bishop.
Okay, so and after bishop f5, if I go queen b4, you go queen e5.
Yeah, and that's gonna be checkmate.
And if I go queen f6, you go queen b8.
Right.
So maybe bishop f5 is just the move.
Yeah. Actually, I see my bar going wild, even though I don't have the lines up, and the bar is saying it's 2.1 or something. So this actually is just losing.
Right. So bishop f5 is an important move. I
Yeah.
think
So
if Magnus finds bishop f5, he's going to go queen g3.
yeah, I totally agree. I for sure he'll play Queen G3. That's really the only question, right? Because like Queen D6, Rook E5, like you're fine. There isn't really a whole lot you need to calculate. You know that you're just you're probably just a little bit better. And yeah, it's just Queen D4, Bishop F5. I mean, I really hope that this doesn't happen because I feel like Jan might also try to blitz out a move soon. Like I'm really worried that his impulsiveness, he might just blitz out one or two moves quickly, and it could be the wrong move that just loses the game. Because he has had a tendency to do that in the past and also in this match as well.
Yeah, well, you think he has been blitzing out moves, and that's why he's losing? I mean, I was on the plane when when game 6 happened. I couldn't see the timestamp studies. Like, well, Magnus played queen e3.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
that's surprising.
Yeah, because now I think just Bishop D7, and it's just probably should just be stable position. Because now you can't really break through, right? What do
And
you even
bishop
do?
d7 comes, and I don't even see our next move.
Yeah, Bishop D7, and it's looks very drawish. But yes, you were asking about the time usage. Yeah, I mean, as I recall, basically until Jan played this until he played this whole sequence with Bishop E5, Bishop E2, he was moving instantly. Like he played Rook AC8 very, very quickly. And
Okay.
even E5, I think actually, his big mistake was he played Bishop E5. I think he did go Bishop E5 instantly in that position after E3 with the knight on D3 and the rook on D2.
He played bishop e5 instantly, you said?
I'm pretty sure he did that. Yeah, he did not use more than 30 seconds.
Yeah,
And then later he used time and he found Bishop B2.
Right, but if I recall, I annotated this game, and like bishop b2 was the best move 2 moves in a row, and then he didn't play either one, and then when he finally did, I mean, Magnus didn't have the time to punish it, but
Right. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean that. I mean, I feel like that's been his one. That's been career wise. That's been his one weakness throughout is that sometimes he's just too impulsive. But I guess
Yeah, I
this game
mean,
he's gonna get off the hook.
what's the most ridiculous thing he's ever done against you?
I see. I don't think he's actually done anything crazy against me. Oddly enough, I feel like it's against everybody else when I'm watching his games that I see it. Yeah, against me, I don't think he ever really has, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I played with Jan, I played some Karo Khan, I got an absolutely miserable position. He went e5, g4, h4, and I wasn't well prepared for it. He took all the space. And then he just played like really fast and missed some, I think, like really nice resource that I had. Now it was nice and not easy, but I found it and he could have found it and been ready for it, but he didn't. And all of a sudden I had an okay position. But that's sort of where he showed his strength because he had been playing with such energy and so fast before, as we just got a really complicated position when I should have been much worse.
Mm-hmm.
But in that complicated position, he had more time and he outplayed me and won. So this kind of thing though, just against a certain level of player, that doesn't feel like that's going to work as well.
Right. I think that's the issue. I mean, I know like when he's been playing these online tournaments, like Grishchuk, I think has been really, really critical at times with some of his moves. The way that he just blitzes things out. So that's been like his big weakness. But again, it also goes the other way because I think when he moves really quick, sometimes it rattles players as well because you're not used to that. Like in a complicated position, you're not expecting a move after 30 seconds. So
Yeah.
there is that.
No, we also have to be careful about this stuff. Like, because the other time I played with Jan, I remember he was playing very quickly, but his moves were like e6, g6, b6, like all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and like he was playing really fast. And after I don't know, like 12 moves or something, I didn't have like oceans of time anymore, but I had enough, and I was dead winning and sort of cruised through.
Uh-huh.
I think he was just trying to crush me because I had resigned a drawn position the previous day, and he probably thought I was in no shape to play chess that day. But
Right. That classic game, yeah. Yeah, and Tata Steel. Yep. Yeah,
my
actually
most
I
famous
remember
game.
seeing that game. I was quite confused when I saw him playing that whole like hippo setup. It was very, very weird to see.
He's probably thinking, this idiot can't even if he resigns a drawn position, he's like too stupid to play chess. And A, that's one thing, and B, he's probably going to be in a horrible mood and unable to fight, and you have to try to
Mm-hmm.
beat him with black and avoid theory. I think it was actually a pretty understandable decision from his point of view. I know that looking back at myself, I think I had the psychological strength to like deal with it and just come and play the next game. But that was because I was older and more mature and whatnot. I think there were phases in my career where this might have just worked and he would have just crushed me with black,
Mm-hmm.
like playing silly stuff. But I guess I had grown a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the game. We have some moves. I guess we have Bishop D7 H3 played here. I mean, I don't know if H3 does H3 really do anything if you just go like I guess you just go Queen D6 and Rook E6 again. It just feels. I mean,
Well, Queen D6, can we go Queen G5
and
back?
Queen
But
F.
then,
Oh, and then Queen G3 again. Because it's exact. Well, but with the Bishop on D7, still yeah. So Queen D6 and then Rook E5, right?
yes, and here as well, there's a lot of lines where black was playing like Queen E1 check or something, and now I'm not as worried about the back
Right.
rank. Like,
Actually, yeah, that must be that's got to be the reason behind it.
yeah, so for example, here, say we go Queen D6, Queen G5, um, Queen back to F6, Queen G3, Queen D6, Rook E5. Now this Rook E6 move doesn't scare me at all because Rook E1 check isn't scary
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, because you go Rook H5 and that's just game.
Right.
I think that's just game
So
over. Mm-hmm.
right. So H3 seems like, I mean, it's not the most intimidating move, but I wouldn't call it senseless. There's clear
Right.
reasons for it.
Right. Also, apparently my chat is telling me the computer says G5 here.
It's
Is
not that surprising, right? I mean, the king needs to get to G7, and if you play G4, like that's annoying for white to deal
actually that's
with.
true, and also always after like Queen G3, you can also just go Queen F4 as well, which I think is pretty important too.
Yeah.
Although
No,
that maybe you can trade and go H4, and I mean I don't know if H5 and F4 are weak, but feels like there might be something maybe. Yeah, G5
yeah.
is wow. That's a nice move. That's a nice move.
I'm not surprised this is best. I actually, especially given Jan's style and
Mm-hmm.
also the absence of anything else that makes sense, I would be actually quite surprised if he doesn't play it.
Yeah, that's true because like Queen D6, you're kind of just trying to repeat. It's not active. Bishop E6 doesn't look right because of just Queen G3, I guess. So yeah, actually it makes sense. G5 or maybe H4, I guess I could see, but even that doesn't look really
G5
all that
really feels
appetizing.
like a move.
Yeah.
Also, after G5, is there a plan to go King G7 and Rook back to H8?
Right, I just assumed that I assume that somehow I have to go like Queen G3 at some point to go Rook E5 and force Queen F4. Because yeah, if I go C3 King G7 and you get Rook H8, I think you're completely fine. You should be able to
Right.
equalize instantly on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I guess like yeah, G5, Queen G3, Queen F4. I mean I think that's maybe I don't know if that's how much better that is for white, but it should yeah G5 definitely is a nice move here. Very, very
I
nice.
think it might just be a straight fortress, actually, because I don't see how we can get the king into play.
Yeah, I was actually wondering maybe white could have played f4 instead. Maybe that's why h3 is wrong. Maybe f4 to stop g5, and then you go like f5 next move. And how does black ever get that rook into the game?
Well, he could go h4 and rook h5, I guess, but
f5. Wait, h4, f5, rook h5, queen f4.
yeah, and then king g8.
G8.
But okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it
Jan
feels
has
bad,
played
yeah.
h4.
Okay.
So that's a little surprising, I guess.
Also, he played that way too quickly. Like he only used like 1 minute. I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Like he used only 1 minute there, which I think is kind. I mean, it's kind of questionable.
So what do you think his plan is in the next move? If he's played h4, it's sort of I'm not scared of what white's doing, and I'm going to take my time fixing my coordination. What do you think his next move is going to be?
Well, I think now g5 actually makes a lot more sense. I mean, with no queen g3 anymore, I think g5 is almost an instant move. Like if white goes c3 g5, I mean black should be completely fine. Like I only thought that it was dangerous because that endgame after queen f4, the pawns were fixed on h5 h4. Well, if you can get that position with where you trade queens on f4, but you have the pawn on h4, there's no way that you can possibly be losing there. Whereas with the pawns on h5 and h4 with light square weakness, maybe there's some chance for white. But here, yeah, I think now if you don't go f4, what do you? If black hits g5, black is easily drawing, I think.
Okay, so what if I play c4 and try to open the position?
Right, so c4 g5 trade, I guess.
Can I go c takes d5 and queen e5?
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, and then yeah, if I go bishop e6, you have queen b8, I guess. Yeah, if bishop e6, you have queen b8 a7, I guess, to guard the pawn of d4.
Magnus has played c4, so we're about to find out.
Yeah. c4, okay. Go ahead.
You know, h4 feels like c4 has to be what you have to do. Like maximize your lead in development if black is not trying to fix his rook.
Right, and now, I mean, I guess okay. Let me see why the computer says g5 is best. So g5 takes queen e5. You said. Oh, and I guess black can trade and swing the rook to b6. Okay, that's not very human. I think quite hard to find from a distance.
So quite hard b3, to find. What's the point?
Yeah, so if you play b3, then I think I just go bishop e6, and then I have rook g5, rook b4.
And counterplay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, but seeing that, of course, it's very far out.
I mean, it's certainly within human capability, especially for a player of Jan's caliber and this much time on the clock. But you really want to be ready for that before you play g5.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think g5 feels very loose here, kind of like. I mean, to me, bishop e6 feels more human in this position, but I think bishop e6 might just be losing because you can trade and then go rook c1, and then if you get rook c7, like I think it's just game over almost.
Yeah, bishop e6 looks weird to me.
Yeah.
What if we play rook h5?
Yeah, rook h5 makes sense, right? Rook h5.
But no, there's bishop e2.
There's the same problem. Bishop e2, and I have queen a3, or even takes in some kind of rook c1 again. I mean, it feels really, really nasty here.
Yeah. So it's not the easiest position.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wonder if d takes c4 feels way too. I mean, maybe a computer can hold up. That feels really, really iffy to trade like that. Because this feels like this reminds me of those Berlin lines. You know those Berlin lines where you go rook e1, knight e5, and there's like the c4 d4, black plays c6 d5 with bishop b4. I'm just going to show it so my chat knows what I'm referring to. That it feels like it's similar to that, except you push the pawn to h4. So
I'm actually doing a chessable course, and I'm covering this on the Berlin that'll come out in a couple of weeks, and I actually covered this exact line, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of what it reminds what it reminds me of. It's like
and black was getting, if I recall, black doesn't have the bad rook. He can play like rook ae8 or rook. I think they're playing like rook fe8 taking e5 and going like b5 a5 and stuff like that, and aiming for a queenside counterplay. But it's not that easy. Like I remember there was a game, I think Moitilov beat Jeffrey in the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh really? Okay.
With the white pieces, like in a classical game. So it's not that easy, but I do think it's sort of hanging on. And here it just feels like the same kind of structure, except playing b5 a5 is not to be recommended, and it's
Right.
not so easy to get the rooks off the board.
Right, yeah. I mean, this rook on if this rook was on e8, black would be completely fine. But the rook on h6 is completely misplaced here. No,
Yeah.
it's very problematic. Oh, so you're doing a course. I was going to ask about that as well. What you've been up to? I mean, you've been playing quite a bit, but also, I mean, it seems like you're very busy with that stuff. So what have you been doing?
So I've done a lot of stuff for Chessable. I made an entire repertoire over the course of the pandemic, which encompassed playing classical Sicilian for black, semi-Slav for black, and then like a repertoire against c4, knight f3 stuff, and then a three-part series on d4 for white. So then a valid question would be like, what are you going to do next if you've already created a full repertoire? And I thought adding the Berlin was like a good idea, because classical Sicilian is, I think in terms of its objectivity, I'd give it like a 9 out of 10 or maybe an 8 if I'm feeling a bit harsh, but it's not a 10. It's a very good opening, and it's in practical terms, I think it's a really good option. But if you're just looking for pure objectivity, there are better lines out there. So I thought coupling that with the Berlin alternative, which is like the most solid of solid, and forget practical chances. If white wants to make a draw, you can't count the ways you can do it. I thought that was a good way to follow it up. I've also done a lot of work recently on my next book, which is going to be theoretical rook endgames. You can imagine how long that will take to come out.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be an absolute nightmare, but I've really been enjoying working on that a lot as well for Quality Chess. And I've also sort of, I wouldn't say co-founded, but I'm a co-owner of Killer Chess Training, which I do with my coach Jakob Bogard.
Nice, very nice, very nice. Yeah.
Plus, of course, a lot of playing, which is my main thing.
Right. No, but that's good. Keeping busy. What are your plans with tournaments going forward? Do you have like anything scheduled really?
Yeah, so I have Tata Steel and then the FIDE Grand Prix. That's going to take up a lot of the beginning of 2020, and then I'm not sure after that, but things will always come up. I don't know if they're going to have US Championship in October again, or if they're going to bring it back to the normal time. I'll certainly try to defend my title at Prague Masters. There's a lot of events. You have World Rapid and Blitz?
Yeah, I'll be playing the World Rapid Blitz and maybe the FIDE Grand Prix. I mean, who knows what's going on, but that's probably my plan. And yeah, US Championship I'll play, but again, whether that's April or whether that's October, hard to know.
So you'll be making your return to classical chess. That would make me a very happy man.
Yeah, I'll be playing. I mean, US Championship for sure. FIDE Grand Prix. I mean, I think I'm going to be getting a wild card, but again, who knows exactly what the situation will be. So that's more or less the plan.
Yeah, no, that's really good. No, I'm just glad tournaments are coming back. I mean, I really, with this whole Chessable work and Killer Chess Training and theoretical rook endgames, I really think I made the most of the pandemic and focused more on content and stuff. But at the end of the day, like I mean, as you know, I don't even have a Twitch account. This is my first time on any kind of stream, so it's actually kind of cool being with all of you and all your fans. And I guess hopefully I'm not making a horrible impression, but really my heart beats for the thrill of competition, and that's what I love about chess. I'm just so glad that the tournaments are coming back.
Yeah, no, I think tournaments will be back in 2022 mostly. I think maybe if there's some huge new issue with the virus, but realistically, I do think we're going to be getting back to normal times for the most part.
And I mean, at top level, it's basically already back. I mean, this year I managed to, even since tournaments for me only started in June, I played Prague Masters, World Cup, St. Louis Rapid Blitz, Sinkfield Cup, 960, Euro Club Cup, US Championship, and then Tata Steel Rapid Blitz. I mean, that's not quite a full schedule for a top player, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
But it's more like for the somewhat lower levels, but still like really serious chess players, the solid GMs at 2500 to 2650. They're really missing tournaments in a lot of ways, I think. I remember, for example, Prague Masters or Tata Steel. I've played these tournaments multiple times, and they always have B sections where they've got somewhat lower grandmasters who are working really hard to try to make it up to the A section and are still playing really well. I think B sections were the biggest casualty for the last year or so, and I think those are going to be back soon as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest issue. The top tournaments where you have like maybe anywhere between 10 to 14 players, or even like six to 10 players, those events more or less I think can happen regardless. But yeah, the open tournaments are the ones with like the ones for the players who are not at the top. That's been a big issue certainly. So it's hopefully. Although I mean, even some of the opens aren't coming back. Like I know Gibraltar's not happening next year. I'm trying to think what the other opens are, but again, it does feel like that. Yeah, the players who are the players who are like 2600 to like 2650, especially, they're just like kind of screwed which is pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
and I certainly have a lot of sympathy for them because I was sort of stuck at that level for a while. I mean, I got a late start with chess. You know, you're only 4 years older than me, but you were like a hero. I mean, when I played my first tournament, I was like 11, and you're 4 years older. You were a GM at 15. So, you know, it's. But I remember like I was stuck in like the sort of 2600 to 2650 range from age like 20 to 26,
Hmm.
and it was a really hard range to be in then, and it certainly got harder after some developments in the U.S. later on. But but I can, however, all the difficulties I may have had, I'm sure they're absolutely nothing in comparison when you just can't play opens. I mean, at least I got to play opens in Europe and stuff, and fight for chances to raise my rating and become a better chess player. And it took some time, but I got there. For the players today, for whom COVID has just taken these opens away from them, it's a really tough spot to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like the people who have benefited the most. I think you might have said something about this too. Is the junior players who've been studying a lot, where like they just keep studying, they keep playing online. I feel like they've probably had benefited the most from everything. Of course, Ali Reza is the most prominent one, but I feel like other people like Hans Niemann, like there's Abdus Sattarov, all those Uzbeki juniors. Do you kind of agree with that? Those guys are the ones who benefited the most.
Yeah, well, I think benefit is the wrong word. I think these guys are the ones who are the most serious about their training and keeping up like what a normal training regime would look like for a serious professional player, even when there was no tournaments to play in. And I think that the real benefit that gave them is there may have been a phase where the, let's say, stronger guys like in the high 2600s or whatever, or low 27s or somewhere around there, where they just fell off a bit. That gave these young kids a real chance to like show themselves and gain a lot of rating really quickly. And you always hear this concept of, oh, this kid is underrated, he's chasing his rating. A lot of these guys just got their ratings faster than I think they otherwise would have, because if you're 2700 strength and you're rated 2600, you gain 10 points a tournament until you make it there, and it'll take you a while.
Hmm.
um, but if you start gaining a ton of points really quickly because a lot of these guys are out of shape, that sort of waiting period that you have, so to speak, before your strength is actually reflected in your rating becomes a lot shorter. And so I think these guys benefited a lot from that. But ultimately, I think that the pandemic has really shown. I think Boris Gelfand was the one who said once tournaments start coming back, it will really show who's been really working on chess and who hasn't. And these kids who have been working on chess,
Hmm.
they've definitely gotten better, and they've gotten a little bit of a boost because I think everyone else has gotten a bit complacent, and it's really shown. Some of their results are fantastic. Like as you mentioned, Ali Reza is clearly like the number one of what's happened, but he also like got knocked out in round one of the World Cup by one of these juniors.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I tend to agree with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. With what we've seen, obviously. So it's gonna be interesting to see the future, certainly.
Yeah, and I'm also very happy to see that Hans has gotten better and that we've got some up and coming strong young Americans too.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, Hans obviously is the most prominent one. I think Christopher Yu is another junior who's been
yeah,
doing
he's
well
been he's
lately.
been fantastic for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And
So I mean,
Abimanu and others.
right. I mean, I think again, it's really when I see players like Abimanu, I think it's important that they like keep the expectations in check. I think that's the hardest thing when kids are like just like
Yeah,
killing it,
but
and I mean just blowing it
I
up.
know
Really.
Abimanu a bit. I spoke with him at the World Cup because I'd actually done a fair amount of preparation for him. I wasn't like super. I mean, I thought that Jobava was probably going to beat him in round one, but like I wasn't ruling out that I would play with him in round two. So I did a bit of work preparing for Abimanu, and I spoke with him a bit. He struck me as a very down to earth kid. I think that he's obviously getting a lot stronger, but I don't think he has unhealthy expectations. He's just a guy who's training well and is going to get better, and he'll be ready to deal with setbacks. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's the future's bright for American chess. I think you could say certainly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So all right. So we still don't have any moves in this game at the moment. I mean, we still have this position after C4. By the way, one other thing, Chad obviously loves you. It's not like you're
Oh, really?
out. It's not like you're. It's not like you're just some random person. I guess you could say. I
Yeah,
feel like.
no, I've been told actually it's funny because I know I've done some guest commentary for Chess 24 as well as
Mhm.
some banter blitzes, and my banter blitzes were always crazy popular. Everybody really loved them, but people said I was a horrible commentator. So I think it's mainly because I really like to study chess and look at chess and analyze chess, and that's what I'm good at. But
Mhm.
so, like I know there's a lot of chess streams out there, and I'm largely ignorant to the world of streaming. It's just
Mhm.
not something that I'm wildly interested in. But I would imagine that your stream, because you're also a top player yourself, is probably more focused on like actual the gameplay than some of the other ones. So probably this was a more suitable place for me to be a brief guest in.
Okay. Well, the online world loves drama, so by saying that, there are definitely some people who are going to take that a certain way.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
I
mean
kind of.
I don't mean it to be offensive in any way at all. It's just I know that like a lot of streamers are all about like playing exciting chess and like looking for like dynamic gambits and stuff. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That like
Right.
brings a lot of people in. It gives a lot of excitement. I don't mean to
Yeah.
sound like
No,
I'm condescending towards
it's all
them.
it's all good. It's all part of the meme, so
Right.
it's all good. But yeah, I mean, that's actually the one thing as well that I found really hard when I first started streaming before the pandemic is that it's very hard to have to basically play a whole second set of openings and not really sometimes be honest about certain positions or what's going on in games, because I had a very unfortunate game that I lost to Wesley in the Grand Chess Tour. It was in Zagreb, so it was in Croatia in 2019. It was like round 5 or something. I'm sure you'll see the game if you haven't already. And I lost this anti-Berlin. He played Rook E1.
Yeah, I remember this one.
And the reason I lost that game is very specifically because I played a game maybe like I want to say it was 3 months earlier in Title Tuesday online against Jordan Van Forest, and that was on stream, of course, and I'm like 90% sure that Wesley saw that game, and I didn't respond the correct way in that game. Then I responded the same way in my game against Wesley, and I lost that game. So I'm like 90% sure that the reason I lost the game is because Wesley saw that stream, and then like a few months later, when he was looking for ideas, he was able to recall that.
But
So
aren't Title Tuesday games on database?
I think they are, but I remember Wesley writing. He was I remember him literally writing in chat during that stream. So
Okay.
it could be a coincidence, but I actually don't think it was.
Really, Wesley has a Twitch account. That I wouldn't have guessed. But
yeah. No, Wesley's very popular on Twitch.
really, because he doesn't have Twitter, right?
No, he doesn't.
Twitch, but not Twitter. Whoa. Okay, we got to move. D takes C4 played.
Wow. So DC4 Bishop C4.
This feels very scary.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me a lot of Magnus's match against Vichy. At least a lot like the last two Magnus White games, where it's like it feels like Black is struggling. It's just a little bit worse, and it could turn into something much worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the Magnus Vichy match, it felt like it was all going Vichy's way for the first 4. You mean the first match for the second?
Yeah, no, the first one.
So if I recall the first one, it really felt like it was going Vichy's way for the first 4 games. It was 4 draws, and I think that Vichy had more chances in those games. And then Magnus played some sort of toothless thing in game 5, but he managed to get a position that he felt comfortable with and eventually won. I think it really fell apart for Vichy when he got a nice position in game 6 and lost with White.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that was the end of the match, but I felt like, yeah, I mean, maybe it's too much of an oversimplification, but it's just these positions the last couple of games now. I mean, the last 2 White games are really starting to feel reminiscent of like vintage Magnus. I mean, it really does feel like Jan is just in trouble here. Like, apparently, according to the computer, I mean, at least my chat is saying that King G8 is the only move here that isn't like losing. And I mean, I guess you can play it, but
Queen E7. What happens after Queen E7?
I mean, I guess I don't. Maybe
Bishop E6 is the idea. It's got to be Bishop E6.
Oh, right. And then on Rook B7, you have Rook E1, Rook E2, or something, and
wait, yeah, no, Queen E7, Bishop E6 directly. You cannot play Bishop takes E6.
Okay, nice. But still, I mean, that looks probably scary too. Like I guess Queen E8, King H7, no fear, because Bishop D3, you just go G6 and trade. Yeah, it's solid enough, but
yeah. But
still, I mean, it feels like we're at that point where it's like one wrong move and you're just gonna lose the game. It's all gonna fall apart instantly. That's what it feels like really scary. Like,
I mean, it's a very bad. It's weird for me to see Jan play D takes C4 and then after Bishop takes C4 not immediately make a move. I mean, what did he think was going to happen?
That's true, right? Because yeah, I was going to actually ask you about thought process as well, because we asked Wesley this too when he was here. But when you spend a lot of time calculating, say, a position like C4, where there's like an obvious capture, do you, when you play this move, do you have the next move planned out, or it's like you're like, are you just once move happens, then you think? Would you rather like blitz out DC4 in like a couple of minutes, or would you rather use like 10 minutes and then have the next
I
move
would use
ready.
the time. I mean, if you're 100% sure what the next move coming is, you might as well just figure out your move after that. I mean, it'd be a little bit different if like White had another option, but like if White's pawn were on b3 and you're like, well, my reply might be different if he takes with the pawn or the bishop, but I'm pretty sure dc4 is the best move. I suppose it would make sense to then play dc4 and just let White decide what to play, and then you can go from there. But given that dc4 came in, you know that he's going to play bishop takes c4. I don't see why you would play it right away and not have a response ready.
Right. Yeah, that because I think he thought for a little bit. That wasn't just like a 1 minute think. I mean, I think he used like 5 minutes at least.
No, I used like 15.
Oh, he used 15. Okay, okay.
Oh yeah, we got
So
to talk about a lot of stuff in the meantime.
that's true. Actually, you're right because you're right. That C4 mover we have been there for a while. Yeah, I don't like this. I mean, this doesn't feel like the way. I mean, when I think about Jan, or I think about his strengths. Like this just is not his strength. His strength is not. We don't think of Jan as like Jan the great defender. Like the way you think of like I don't know, like maybe Fabiano for example, or Sergey. I feel like both of them are great defenders.
Yeah, actually funny. I didn't get the sense of that. Like when I mean, I know that was the reputation. I mean, Caruana is more of an all-around player, I would think, but Karyakin in particular is supposedly like this fantastic defender, and I've certainly seen examples of that. But like when I played with him in the World Cup, like I sort of got some equal, maybe tiny bit better, but basically equal endgame, and I just outplayed him really routinely. And then game two, he completely crushed me with some kingside attack. Like this was exactly the opposite of what you'd expect for someone whose reputation is just defending all the time.
Right. I actually, what I felt is I felt that Sergey's defense in the match was phenomenal, but I kind of felt that that one match created the whole like Minister of Defense
Well, there was
reputation.
also the candidates, right? I mean, I
True.
remember like he had this crazy difficult position with Caruana with Black, where he had to find like endless only moves, and he found them all.
Right, right. I mean, I feel like that's what his reputation was based on was like that whole run. But I felt like in recent years he's kind of become more like more relaxed, or I don't know how you would put it, but I don't feel like he's been as his defensive abilities have been quite what they were for that
Yeah.
brief period of time.
I mean, my brief match with him, which of course was only two classical games and a bunch of rapid, was his defense in like slightly worse positions. I felt like I was really sort of outplaying him and getting good winning chances and all. Then I won a couple times both in classical and in rapid. But when he got the initiative and had to calculate, he felt really strong, and that's where he outplayed me. And so I I don't know. I mean, if I had to go play this match again, I don't have any huge regrets about how I did it. I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't play the French the second time around, but like it definitely did not feel like he was some defense was his main thing.
Right, right. Yeah, so okay, so this game we have a move and it's not King G. We have B5
Ooh,
which is play
B5.
here.
Okay. So you said Machine said King G8 was only move, so B5 is bad news for Black?
Yeah, I mean I assume it's Queen A3. That's got to be the move cuz
Like
Queen D6
this
should
wait,
take.
dumb question. Why doesn't that just win a pawn for nothing?
Well, that's kind of what I'm wondering too. I mean, Queen A7. I mean, what does block? But Bishop
So
H3.
Queen A3 check, first of all. If Queen D6, Queen A7 is just pawn up, right?
Right, because it's just checkmate. Yeah, and if
You
G6,
have
I
to
just go
play
away. Yeah.
you have to play G5 or King G8 there, and then I took the bishop away and you're down a pawn. So Queen A3 check, he must be planning King G8.
Right, and then Queen A7. I mean, what is the move? Bishop H3, maybe. I mean it. But don't you have Rook E8 and Bishop F7 or something? I mean, this looks so bad.
You can also even go Queen takes F7, Rook E8, and Bishop takes F7 then.
Oh, right. Yeah, you can. Oh, actually, yeah. Why isn't? Wait, why isn't this just winning for White?
I don't know, you're one pawn
Man.
up there, and there's still
Okay, yeah.
potential for a Rook and Bishop E6 or something, but like.
Yeah, but this is not what you want here. I mean, this
I
is
mean,
really bad.
Queen A3 check, Queen A7. It's just also it's hard for me to imagine White playing another move.
Yeah, I mean this.
It's so direct, it's so natural. I'm sure Jan must have some idea here. I mean, I can't imagine he missed Queen A3, but after Queen A3, King G8, Queen A7, like, what is it? I mean, it has to be Bishop H3, right?
Yeah, I mean, but again, this Queen F7 Rook E8 idea is really unpleasant. I mean,
I can't imagine that's the only way either.
right. I mean, like I feel like Bishop H3. Yeah, even I was wondering if after Bishop H3 you could even just go Rook E8 and Bishop F7, just keep queens on the board. Apparently you can't because I see the bar went way down for whatever reason. But it looks, I mean, it looks really scary. It just looks really scary. And if Queen A3 is not played immediately, it's not played by Magnus here. I mean, I'd be stunned. This is such an obvious move. It's like the only move in the position, even.
He'll take his time, but he's going to play it.
Yeah.
So.
Also, he has 36 minutes, so like time pressure is not really an issue here either.
Yeah. All right, so I have a question. Suppose, let's make a bold leap and say that Jan loses this game, which I think is quite likely at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If you were on Jan's team and you're telling him you're down 2 games, let's suppose we come to the conclusion that if Jan wins game 9, we have a real match, and if he doesn't, it's basically over. Let's suppose that's what the conclusion you draw, and you say we need you to go for broke in game 9, and it doesn't particularly matter if you lose, forget it. But you need to take the risks and go for broke. How would you do it? Would you keep playing E4, or would you switch to D4 or C4, not knowing what could come on move 1?
Well, I mean that's actually why I feel like I think both. Well, I mean everyone. Well, Fabian doesn't matter because it was Shveshnikov, but that's why I felt like Karyakin, like the same approach that Sergey took. When you only play one opening, you have no information. So I kind of feel like this notion of sticking to one opening and trying to beat Magnus in one opening is a big mistake, and they should have mixed. Both of them should have mixed it up early on in the match to have some idea of what Magnus is playing. Without any information, though, I still think you have to play. I would still play probably English. I would go C4, especially because the loss doesn't matter at that point since the match is effectively over.
Yeah. So I know that Karyakin did play at least one game with D4. They had this Slav with A6, but
right. I mean, or you know what else you could do? You could also just play the Italian. I mean, just keep the pieces on the board. That's the third option. I mean, I guess if I had to pick something, I would probably play the Italian, just because even if there's theory, all the pieces stay on the board no matter what. That's what I would play probably. That's my guess.
What about like this line that you played with me in the World Cup, where Black just throws D5 really quickly? It feels like if he really knows his stuff there, he probably can vacuum everything.
Well, I mean, I agree, but also if you play one wrong move, you also just lose on the spot. So there is that part of it. Yeah, I mean, it's a very tough situation, but the thing is, like, I didn't like Jan's choice in the last game to make the quick draw with White. I mean, like, I know that both players are tired after the 8-hour game, obviously, but I felt that like this exactly what's happening today was a realistic possibility where like where if he loses today he's in really bad shape, and I thought he should have gone for broke yesterday.
Yeah. Well, do you think he made the quick draw, or do you think he just got outplayed? Because I mean, I think at the moment that he actually forced the pieces off the board, he was certainly not better anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that basically he tried to play for the small edge and it just wasn't there. And I mean, like, I understand him playing that, obviously, but I was really worried about this exact scenario that's playing out now. I mean, this is why I felt like he should have just mixed it up, because I also felt Magnus, after an 8-hour game, Magnus said he didn't sleep at all. I'm sure Jan didn't sleep well either, but I figure, like, if anything, there's more chances of something weird happening after that game.
Yeah, when both guys are exhausted and making, more mistakes is more randomness, which means more possibilities to win. I mean, it's
right.
But yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I think, but anyway, back to the main question. I would say probably. I mean, yeah, this Italian D5 is an issue. And of course, with months to prepare, it's very easy to work out all the lines.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can make some move order or another. You can play H3. You can castle and play H3 instead of C3. You can play an early knight BD2 before C3. You don't have to castle. I'm sure you can find some move order or another to like keep pieces on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think I would play the English. I think I would just play the English. That's my guess.
Yeah. It feels right, because I know when Vichy had this situation when he was down 2 games and had 4 left, he played F3 Nimzo and he lost a third time. Now,
right, but he was also winning in that game. I think for like a move or two,
he was much better. Well, I think he was much better, but I know that it looked like the opening turned out to be the right call, because he got a wild position, and okay, it did. He took the risks and it did not pay off. Fine, but it felt like he made the right decision once the game was going on, and he got this like ridiculous position where anything could happen. So. I don't know, though. Somehow I feel like if Jan were to play like F3 Nimzo here, Magnus would be better prepared than he was that game and more able to just kill it.
Yeah, I think there are a couple ways you can kill F3, where you don't have to let it get sharp. Right. Yeah, so I think I would play English or Italian. Those are the top 2. I mean, I've sort of been clamoring for Jan to play the English for some time now. I think this is probably the last time he had white. I mean, or even before that. Yeah. But it's tough. It's tough. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
because
tough.
I mean, honestly, if Jan loses this game and then wins game 9 with White, he's still like a big underdog. But I think the match is far from over then.
Yeah.
But
If it's +1, I mean, if it's +1, he's very much in it. But I was
and
really worried about this because, like, I felt like, when Magnus won that 8-hour game, there's a very high tendency. I mean, because both players are tired, that it's going to be like a quick draw. Nobody has any energy, and I was really worried that exactly what's happening is what was really likely. And I mean,
yeah,
but
well, it's interesting because I always thought of Nepo as a player who struggled with like fitness and strength and being able to play as well like towards the end of tournaments as he was in the beginning, and I thought it was like a big edge for him that he sort of got to play two different 7 round tournaments for the candidates instead of one. But I also read that like he got into much better physical shape for this match, right?
yeah, I mean, I think I really don't know if it's physical. I think it's just psychological. I was also thinking, like, when I think about games that Magnus has won, like that game that he won yesterday, like, I mean, I don't mean this to be like disrespectful towards Magnus, but to me, it wasn't like, it was impressive, but I wasn't wowed simply because I've unfortunately been on the wrong end of games like that before quite a few times. But I don't recall Jan ever losing a game to Magnus in that sort of style. And I think psychologically, that kind of like the psychological impact of losing in one of those typical Magnus games really kind of really hurt.
Yeah. It's also almost worse that you lost with black because like if you can imagine if you had lost like a game like that with white, I mean ultimately it's a point on the scoreboard either way, but then you could sort of say, okay, if I need some time to rest and recuperate, I can just sort of try to force a draw tomorrow, and that's a valid strategy, and then play white in the next game when I have energy, and that's not what happened here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, also it was in the sequence of 3 games because they played 3 and then 2 and then 3. So they're in this series of the 3 games with the rest. If it was just 2 games, I think he would have been fine. But yeah, having to play this third game today after yesterday, I think it's, yeah, the wheels are kind of coming off here. And I mean, I think the physical shape matters, but I think the to lose a game like psychologically like that is just really tough. And I mean, I actually had that against Magnus. It wasn't a world championship, of course, but in London, I think it was 2015. It was like the second to last round, I think, and I was playing Magnus, and I lost this very brutal 7-hour end game. It was, he had bishops against the knight, and like somewhere towards the end, I had a drawing opportunity. I missed it. I lost the game, and then the next day I had to like come back and play with very little sleep, and so. And it's just, I think psychologically, it's just really tough. Really.
But also, there's some practicality there because also what you're describing is a situation where you had to play like for a really long time, but your opponent the next day probably did not. Well, at least
Right.
here they're both playing the same
True.
length of time every game. I mean,
Mhm.
it can be really frustrating, like especially like if you're playing World Cup or something, and you can see like two guys are just making 10 move draws, and then they just go straight to blitz play, and they're basically just not playing and not expending energy, and you're fighting your heart out both games. It can be frustrating to see. But like if you're playing the same guy over and over again, if you're putting a lot of energy into it, they have to as well. If you're playing a long game, they are as well. So
Right.
I think it's probably a little bit less painful here, but still, Magnus is just like he's in such good shape, both psychologically and physically, that it doesn't feel like his play is going to really deteriorate that much if he's played a really long game.
Right. And certainly with the win too. I mean, that's such a huge boost as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. I mean, it's really tough when you play Magnus. I mean, it's hard to find the answer. I guess you could say. That's why, like, in a match format, he's just very difficult. And for Jan,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is, I just don't see it happening. But maybe it will. I mean, you never really know. But if he loses this game, I just think it's throw the kitchen sink and hope that something hits. But most likely, it's not going to work, unfortunately.
So Magnus is not going to be the world champion forever.
Right.
Like I promise you, he's not going to be a world champion when he's 70 years old. How do you see him losing a match?
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, it kind of reminds me of tennis in some ways, where like the players at the top, they've been at the top for so long. There are very few talents who are up and coming, and now sort of there are a couple who are breaking through. But I feel like it's gonna have to be someone like Ali Reza, or maybe one or two other juniors who are like 15, 16 years old. It's gonna have to be a completely different generation.
So
Um,
do you think Magnus losing the world championship will have more to do with somebody else becoming better than him, or more to do with him just getting older and not being as strong as he once was?
I mean, probably both, but I already felt like when I was seeing Ali Reza's games, in the Grand Swiss, there were certain things he was doing that felt like they didn't feel natural to me. Like I would not have done them, and they just sort of didn't really jive with some of my understanding, and they turned out to be very good decisions. So I think it's a mix of getting older, but then also sort of the understanding with like Alpha Zero, computers, playing a huge role too. I think that's
Right.
that's what it's going to come down to.
Because, like, for example, I could see Ali Reza passing Magnus someday, but I would think that would largely be because Magnus is 2810 and old. Like, do you really think Ali Reza is going to be the guy who's going to be like 2895, 2900 and have like. I mean, he certainly could. He's a
Hmm.
very strong player and he's getting a lot better, but somehow it just feels to me like when Magnus goes down, it will be more because he got old. I mean, I think about how
Hmm.
his matches have gone so far. He's
Right.
played four, and this one is his fifth. It seems like he's on pretty reasonable form here against Nepo. When he's getting bad positions, he's playing them really well and defending them very naturally.
Hmm.
It seems to me he's played five matches so far against, and basically there's one of two things will happen. When he's on good form, he wins a not close match, and when he's on bad form, he wins a close match. That sort of seems to be
Hmm.
how it goes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, again, I think if you look at like the world champions, I mean, okay, Kasparov Karpov is a different situation because they played 5,000 games, obviously, and so you could definitely say like Gary was the better player, whereas now it's like it's these shorter matches. I mean, I actually feel that Magnus Fabiano was the clear number two, but I feel like Sergey and Jan they played well. They deserved their spot, but I don't think you could say they were the clear number twos when they made it into the
No.
Canadas.
But for
Um,
example, if you take these matches that have been played, I don't believe that Sergey played better than Caruana. I don't believe he played better than Anand even.
mhm.
But and in terms of just like his actual overall strength, I mean, between now, like for let's not say Nepo yet because his mismatch isn't over, but between Anand, Karyakin, and Caruana, I suspect if you force someone to say which of these three is like the least strong player overall, you would choose Sergey. But at the same time, he was also the one who came the closest by far to actually unseating Magnus,
That's
right?
true. Yeah, I mean, because Fabiano had that one moment in that game where he was up the piece, but I mean, he it wasn't like ever clearly winning. And yeah, Sergey was ahead in that match. I mean, he
He
won
was
game
the
nine.
only one where at some point I was thinking, wait a minute, Magnus might lose this match.
Right. Agreed.
And uh, I thought that had more to do with. I mean, I certainly don't mean to take away from how Sergey played. He played a fantastic match, but it felt like that match had more to do with just Magnus not being on the best form. I mean, I think about this game that he lost where he was
Hmm.
tilted and played D4, E3, B3, and then played like B takes C4 later on and gave himself the A4 weakness. Like, it sort of felt like Magnus was on bad form, and that's why he got into bad shape. I mean, do you really think Karyakin played like better than Anand did? And Anand got completely crushed, and Karyakin was actually close to winning the match.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Vichy was bad in some of the end games. I don't know if that was psychological or whatnot, but overall, yeah, I think Vichy played a higher quality match. I mean, the only one who I thought where like I saw the whole match, I thought like they were on par was Fabiano. That was the only match where it felt like it didn't feel like Magnus was ever going to lose, but it felt like Fabiano was like on par. And I didn't really
Yeah.
feel like Magnus was playing badly in that match. I just felt like Fabiano's preparation
Well,
was just that good.
yeah, I mean, Magnus was completely shut down with the white pieces. He never got really a chance there. And then the way I sort of saw it was 12 draws was sort of a freak coincidence because Magnus was really aiming for fighting positions with black. And from what I saw that game, he should have won that match. He should have won two games with the black pieces and he should have
Hmm.
lost one, was essentially what I saw. I don't think you can really tell someone, oh, Caruana should have won this Petrov game with the extra piece and that freak win in the end game. But he definitely could have won the Sveshnikov game where like he got c4, bishop c3, and c5. I thought he was basically crushing there.
Right, right. So I mean that's yeah, I think it's really hard. It's hard to see. I mean, I feel like if you look at the current, this is why I feel like it has to be the new generation because the only player who hasn't. I mean, okay, obviously Lev. I mean, I would have loved to see Lev play Magnus because Lev has blown Magnus off the board occasionally here and there. But of course, Lev is not super young anymore. You guys were talking about Levon Aronian. But the only player he hasn't played against is Ding, I guess. And Ding did actually beat him in that tiebreaker in 2019 in St. Louis. But that's the only player of the current generation, I guess, who Magnus hasn't played against. And so I really do think it's going to have to be someone like Ali Reza or someone like, I don't know, like one of these Uzbeki kids. I don't know, Abdus Torov, maybe Nihal Sarin, someone like that. But it's going to have to be a new generation, I think, that will that will unseed. Magnus.
Well, also these guys are going to have enough time that they'll be at the peak of their powers when Magnus is starting to get old. Well,
Right,
now when
right.
Magnus is at the peak of his powers, no matter how good you get, it sort of feels like you're SOL.
Yeah, I think like that's the thing is and when you look at it traditionally, obviously Vishy kind of messed up all the trends since he's been so good for so long. But I feel like Kasparov and Karpov, isn't there's like a 12 to 13 year age gap between the two of them, if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like that's like the generation. It's like 12 to 13 years in that range where normally you have someone come along who unseats the world champion.
Sure.
Um and so that's why, yeah, I feel like it's probably gonna be a junior, just because I think of all the current players. I mean, Ding is the only one who has not played Magnus yet. I mean, when you
I
think
mean,
about it.
yeah, well, I think it's hard to say because I mean I'm obviously a pretty good player myself, but I sort of peaked out at number 20 in the world, and while I'm ambitious to get higher, it's still that's sort of a level a bit above my pay grade, so to speak. I do think if I were Magnus, Ding would be the person who would scare me the most in a match right now.
Mhm.
Um, Also, just in my own experience, I've played all of the top guys, yourself included, Magnus included. I've played everybody a bunch of times, and Ding is the only one who's like really throttled me. Um, but Ding would be the one that would scare me the most if I were Magnus. But also, who knows about Ding right now? Like,
Right.
he had this match with Lu Shangli, but I'll be very interested to see what kind of chess he shows when he gets back, because he has not played chess recently.
Yeah. I mean, he played those few games, but I don't think he's played a classical game of chess other than the candidates in the last like 3 years, basically. So,
Yeah. And the
um,
candidates, I mean, he looked really weak in the beginning, and at the end, he was just looking like the Terminator. But at that point, it was too late. But, I
right.
mean,
Right. Yeah. I think for Ding, yeah, he's the only one where there's a wild card. I mean, if I look at current players, like I would have loved to have seen a match in the past between Levon and Magnus, but I mean, of course, Levon never could quite get over the hump at the candidates, and so yeah, I mean, Ding is probably dangerous, but will that I mean, will he be able to make it there? I mean, it's 2 years out. Ali Rez is improving. Ding hasn't even qualified yet, so
yeah, I mean, this
yeah.
Grand Prix, like, I mean, he's probably the best player in the Grand Prix, but, what are his odds of getting in? Like 30%? That might be higher than anybody else, but still not high.
Right. So yeah, who knows? I mean, there also are people like Duda, maybe who's done well against Magnus, maybe someone like that, or maybe like Esipenko again, getting back to the younger generation. But I really, if I look at the top players right now, I just don't see anyone who I really think can beat Magnus in a match, besides Ding or Fabiano. I mean, I think Fabiano could beat Magnus. I do really believe that, because I think Fabiano's can be so solid with black, and obviously with white, his preparation is phenomenal. But I really just I think Fabiano is the only one who I believe could beat Magnus, but he would have to beat him in classical. He couldn't get to a tiebreaker.
I guess my point is more, I expect when Magnus goes down, it will be more because he beat himself than because
Hmm.
somebody beat him.
Yeah. No, that makes that makes quite a bit of sense. I mean, I think yeah, it's really hard to it's really hard to see him losing in one of these matches. I mean, I also would say though, that's where like I think people like Ali Reza are very dangerous, because Ali Reza is very strong at classical, but he also is very good at blitz and rapid. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like somehow in these matches, Nepo of course is really dangerous in rapid and blitz. But I think classically he's not as dangerous. And I think for Fabiano and Ding to some degree, it's the exact opposite. They're very dangerous in classical, but they're not dangerous in rapid and blitz, and it just makes it tough.
Yeah, although keep in mind, Rapid and Blitz only becomes relevant if the match is tied, and even
Right.
then, like, there's no doubt that like Magnus is a much better Rapid player than Caruana, but is he so much better that he's just going to beat him every single time in a Rapid playoff when, by definition, Rapid has
More
some
variance.
randomness to it? Like, I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
actually, yeah, I think that's very right. I mean, it probably wins like 80%, but that 20% or 25% of the time when he doesn't, I mean, that's one out of four. So
yeah.
it is yeah, it is possible. So we still don't have a move here, right? After Queen A7, still just waiting.
No, he's thinking. My suspicion is what happened is he had seen this position in advance and was planning on Bishop takes H3, and he missed this idea that I had seen with Queen F7 and Rook E8.
Right. Yeah,
But do
it's
you have a choice? I mean, at least there you have hope for a Rook endgame.
I mean, unless can you go? I guess no, because Queen D6. I just go what, like Bishop D3 even, or Bishop B3. I don't know which one's best. Maybe just Bishop. Yeah, I mean Bishop B3. Like yeah. Like all the pieces stay on the board. You don't have a chance.
I feel like
Um.
you have to play Bishop H3, and then
and then hope. But I mean, you're going to suffer for 4 hours and probably still lose. So it's not a great situation to be in. Oh, Nepo's not at the board apparently either. So that's also a very bad sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, of course, I guess it's not over, but I expect Nepo to probably do what Anand did, which is kind of he'll be down 2 games, go for broke with some English or something, and probably lose the next game as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if he'll lose, but we'll see. I definitely think he should go for broke next game, and just and throw it all.
Yeah.
You know, I think that Jan will. If I think in the future he will look back at this match. Let's assume he loses this game. I think in the future he will not regret it if he looks back at this match and he threw everything he had in game 9 and lost. I think that he would not regret that. But I do think he would regret it if he played something sort of not that sharp and then, got a slightly better position and wasn't able to put much pressure.
Right. I think I would agree with that totally.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I have had very few regrets in my career in terms of. I mean, of course, I'll regret losing, but anyone will say, "Oh, you should have just played better." But in terms of like strategic decisions, one of the biggest regrets I ever had actually was that after I made this really easy draw with you in the World Cup with Black, when you were at that point you were really much stronger than me, that I didn't play wildly aggressively with White the next game. I mean, I just look back at it, I'm like, dude, like you had White. Like your chances with Hikaru were so much better in Classical than in Rapid, and you chose something that was like it wasn't a terrible line for what I was slightly better, but like it was just really vegetarian and like you're not going to get that much even if things go well. And you played the King's Indian with me, which clearly was saying like you were ready for a fight, and I could have gotten it. Now, I think looking back at that, I would have much less regret if I had just gone after you in the King's Indian and gotten checkmated. I think that would have been. A better way for me to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're that big of an underdog, but I mean that's always the catch-22 is it's so much easier. Like I think even Fabiano, like I think if he had known what was gonna happen in the Rapid, there's so many points in that match against Magnus where he would have done something different, or he would have regretted not playing some.
Are you sure? Because it seems to me like he was pretty happy to just make draws with Black the whole way and was hoping to get somewhere with White. I mean, which point do you think he would have done it differently if he had known that he was going to get clobbered in the Rapid? I mean, he got a game. He got a game in the final round. He got totally outplayed, and then Magnus offered a draw. Is he not supposed to take it?
No, in the final game, I think he had to take the draw because it was much worse. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe he just never really had enough. I mean, it always felt like it felt really like he was close to winning in all those Sveshnikovs somehow to me. I mean, especially knowing. Well, maybe not winning, but it feels like the line is really shaky. I guess let me put it that way. The time, it felt like that line was really, really shaky for Black because computers at that time were also giving like big advantages for White. Like I want to say it was wasn't it like 0.6 even? I know computers gave a huge edge.
I'm not sure, but I was just sort of thinking like the 2 Rosalimo games seemed pretty quiet, and then of the other 4, there was one Rosalimo game that Magnus just straight up should have won. He also should have won the last game in Sveshnikov, and the other 2 Sveshnikov games. One was just crazy, wild back and forth chances for both sides that have ended in a draw. And the other one was the one where Caruana was just straight up winning. And so of these Sveshnikov games, I only saw one where Caruana like really had a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more that I'm thinking more about like the theoretical standpoint. So you're actually right. Like it's hard to have regrets because there's only one that was winning.
I don't think Caruana made any fundamentally bad decisions in terms of his approach to any of the games. I think he did all that right.
Yeah, actually, I think that's fair. By the way, apparently Nepo played Queen D8, which this really bad. Like Bishop B3, I guess, and like
what is your next move? You're like almost in Zoot Swung.
Yeah, this looks. Yeah, I mean, there's no liquidation to an end game even here. That's the problem.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call this one as 1-0. But
yeah, that's what it is. I don't know if you want to hang around, if you want to go.
I think I should probably bounce. I got to do some stuff. I should. But yeah, it was a real pleasure being here. Thanks for inviting me. And I didn't have a Twitch account, so I didn't see all the chat. But to all of chat, it was a real pleasure being on Hikaru's stream with you guys. Hopefully, I didn't make too bad an impression. And enjoy the rest of the match. And thanks once again, Hikaru, for having me.
That was great having you, Sam. And good luck with everything. And hopefully, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. I'll see you around.
All right, have a good one, Sam. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, you guys, we're back. Let me put some music on. Let me change the overlay as well. Just give me 1 second. There we go. All right, you guys, so we're back. Yeah, I mean, Sam probably is doing analysis, and obviously the game is getting to a point where it's looking bad. I mean, I think that was probably the most in-depth, most interesting conversation I've had. I will say that, because we were actually talking a lot about like past matches, what's going on. But yeah, it's really looking bad for Nepo here. And so, as someone said, they're right. Like, hindsight is always 2020. You know, it's like, for example, I could say, you know, again, as I said yesterday, like, I really want Nepo to go for broke because I had a bad feeling about what was going to happen today. But again, you never know what's going to happen, so it's always easier to look back and say, you know, say that something you should have done something differently. But it's really gone downhill for Nepo. You know, what I'm going to say is, I think Magnus, he used the somehow he used the psychology voodoo today. I feel like, where basically somehow, because Jan had played h5, Magnus was able to sense that Jan was not going to go queen e7 and trade queens off the board. Again, I don't know how he did that, but somehow it was the voodoo of, it's like, because somehow Magnus knew when Jan played h5 he wasn't going to make the draw with queen e7, like, because h5 was aggressive, so Jan wanted a game. And it's yeah, and it's all kind of falling apart, unfortunately, for Jan. Not his kind of position. And very, very, very unfortunate. Okay, we have more moves. We have rook d6 now. I think queen c5 might just win on the spot here. Looking really, really bad. But I'm gonna take a short break, you guys. I do need to use the restroom, so we'll be back in 1 second. All right, you guys, we're back. So what happened? Okay, we got this position. I mean, of course, Magnus is winning. That's no surprise. I mean, I kind of, you could tell as we were going on that it was looking really, really bad. But yeah, no, it's not good. Magnus resigned. No chance. Magnus resigned. I mean, I think what I would say, you guys, is I mean, Jan just kind of, it wasn't his kind of position. I think that's as simple as it gets. It wasn't his position. So give me 1 second, you guys, and I'll be right back. I hope you guys enjoyed Sam. Just let me heat some water. 1 second. Ah. All right, you guys, we're back. Okay. Um, uh, Magus really is the goat. I predicted his domination 2 games ago. Well, I said, again, you guys, it's all in retrospect. It's very easy. In hindsight, I look like a genius because I knew what was going to happen. But again, like I said, if this game is a draw, like it could have been out of the opening, like say after H5, Jan plays Queen E7, his whole strategy is completely justified. Music is fine, you guys. Music sound is completely fine. Music is completely fine. So that's the thing. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Jan could have gone Queen E7, and then it's like, and then we're not in the situation at all. It could have been a quick draw. Fix my name tag. Sorry, you guys. So yeah, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, this is exactly what I was hoping would not happen, which is that Magus is going to win, and the match is likely over here. Oh, maybe I turned down my maybe I turned myself down on the microphone. Sorry. I turned myself down. That's why. 1 second. That's why. I think I turned my microphone down. Now it should be fine. Yeah, now it should be fine. Yeah. I sorry. I think when I did Zoom, I turned my microphone way too low. That was the reason. Okay. Yeah. I'm too loud now? Okay, 1 second. Okay, this should be fine. Match over, no point following. No, I mean there's still time, but I tuned out for 10 minutes and Magus wins. Like I said, I mean this was the big danger, and I had a feeling we were headed this direction a few moves ago. But yeah, it's not a Jan position. It's not a Jan position. I mean, there's no chance. I mean, no chance Jan comes back because Magnus is gonna lock it down. Magnus is completely gonna lock it down. Yeah, Magnus is completely gonna lock it down. Why is Queen C5 winning on the spot? There are a few ways that White's winning. I think Rook E5 is strong. Queen C5 is good. Someone in chat said Rook E4 was also winning. They said it was like +6. But yeah, Hammer called the match over after marathon game. Magnus, once with the lead, has not been behind a world championship and hasn't needed all the games. Well, I mean, I think there was still a chance, but the problem is that after the marathon game, Jan had to play the next game with White, and then there was this third game as well. That's the real problem. Total moves 46 or under. I would say big under. I think this is not going to be 46 moves. I would take the under for sure. Again, that is not gambling advice, but that's my personal opinion. So that's what I would say. Locking it down. I mean, I'll give you an example. So in the next game, Magnus will lock it down. So let's say that Jan is trying to play for a win with Black and plays a Cillian, because there was a similar situation some time ago in a Magnus Carlsen Tour final event. I think it was a New in Chess Classic where a certain Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura was playing against Magnus Carlsen. And I believe that Hikaru was down by 1 game in the second match, and he needed to win with black pieces. So Hikaru played the Sicilian, and then Magnus chose to play the Alpin. Very annoying because the Alpin, even if it's not a great way to play for an advantage, it flattens the game. It's very hard to win against the Alpin system. And Magnus played the meta. He knew that all he needed to do was lock it down. And so the problem is Jan with black is just not going to get a chance. Magnus won't need to win any games, and he's going to kill the game, make sure it's a draw. So that's the reason that, okay, Pago me all you want, but that's the reason I'm having a personality disorder. Good one. Anyway, you guys, yeah. So that's the problem, is that Magnus, he's not going to care about needing to win. He's just going to shut the door. He's going to make sure there are no chances for Jan to win with black. So Jan's going to have to win 2 games with white, and I just don't see it happening. If Jan survives this game, I'll gift 150 subs. If Jan can somehow not lose this game, I'm going to gift 150 subs. So that's what I would say. Yeah, I'll give 150. I think there's like no chance. I mean, I would say more, but we're not quite there yet. I mean, yeah, Magnus plays Rook E4, not shocking. Rook E4 and Rook E5 are so natural here. Yeah, now I should make it 200 because he played the +5. I mean, the thing is, I'll tell you guys why I knew this was going to be bad, because it's very similar to this other opening. It's very similar to this Berlin line. I got the order wrong earlier, but I'll just show you now, which is why you need to know move orders. But there's this line in the Berlin where you go here, C4, Knight C7, D4, D5, takes, Bishop B4. Here, takes, Rook E5, Queen D6, Bishop C4, Bishop d7, rook a1, rook a8, queen c3. Now this is a very prominent position, by the way, and you'll notice it's the exact same structure where black can later play b5, a5, but you'll notice a, the queen is very well placed on d6. B, the rooks are perfectly placed here. So when we get back to this position, now we compare this with the other one. The rook is on h6, not in the game. Queen is not on d6, and your king is not castled. So it's just very, very hard to play. No, this is not going to be a draw. Magnus is going to win this game, and I think he's going to win the match. So yeah, no, I mean Magnus is just much better. Fabiano said Nepo shouldn't be walking away from the board, and he's playing tilted. Okay, I mean Fabiano probably has a better read on Nepo's mental than I do, honestly, so I wouldn't be shocked if he's right. But I think Nepo getting up from the board every single move is also not a sign of confidence, because you know what I would say personally is that sometimes when you get up from the board every move, it's because you're very nervous and you don't want your opponent to see how you feel. So I think if anything, that also is a big problem too. So that's just what I would say. But yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, Magnus, I mean, I can't really fault Jan for the game he lost. He took his shot. He had a chance, wasn't able to do it, and then he got a little bit careless and lost. And I mean, it's pretty crazy, but that's really the difference in the match. Like, that's the difference in the match. Is that basically Jan tried really hard to win that game, had some chances, but then at the critical moment, he just let it slip. And Magnus, of course, then played a brilliant end game and just like, I mean, just won a brutal game. So yeah, I mean, the marathon game cracked Jan. Of course it did. I think it would have cracked anyone, honestly. But yeah. But also Jan, very unlucky that this was in the sequence of 3 games. Very unlucky. Very unlucky that it was a sequence of 3. Because if they play 2 and have a rest day, Jan could definitely reset. Can you plan away from the board? Does it help? I get up from the board very often, just like Jan. But I usually do it just because I'm bored. I don't want to sit at the board. I don't want to sit at the chessboard. I'd rather be up, walk around, see what's happening in other chess games. Anything to not be bored. Because chess is a very boring game. So yeah. Nepo is not number 2 at the moment. No. Yeah. Ending on a loss for a rest day would have been better. But yeah. No, I mean, I'm semi-joking, but I'm also not. Like, I just don't really want to sit at the board, because if it's not my turn, I'm not thinking about the game. I'd rather be up wandering. I'd like to be, you know, looking to the crowd who are admiring our chess games, or you know, just like see what's happening in Fabiano's game on the other board. I mean, that's just generally what it is. Shankland too much of Magnus fanboy. I think Sam's correct though when Sam talks about it. I don't think he's being too much of a fanboy. I think he's just being brutally honest. That's what I would say. I mean, as I said though, when we had Sam on, I think it's gonna have to be someone from the newer generation. Duda maybe it could be like a Duda type player, but I think most realistically, it's gonna be like an Ali Reza, an Abdusattorov, a Nihal, Gukesh. Like one of these young juniors is gonna be the one who knocks off Magnus. That's my guess. So that's what I would say. It's gonna have to be someone around the age of, like, someone who's currently between the age of, I would say, 15 to 18. I guess Alirez is 18. So I would say someone in that range is the person who's probably going to knock Magnus off. That's what I would say. That's what I would say. Someone in the range of 15 to 18. It has to be someone from a different generation. Someone from a different generation. I mean, Ali Reza obviously is the obvious suggestion, because he just crossed 2800. I mean, Ali Reza, like Esipenko's another one. It's gonna be someone in that range, is my guess. So chess next gen in tennis, that has worked well. Well, that's the thing though. I mean, in chess it hasn't, because no one's really broken through. Like there were some players like Wei Yi, who was really good at a really young age, but then he kind of petered out. I'm trying to think of other juniors who crossed 27 really quickly. What other juniors crossed 27? There are a bunch of Indian juniors who I believe in, but yeah, I think that it's going to be one of those guys. So that's what I would say. Maurice just roasted Nepo so hard. What did Maurice say? Would I resign this position? I mean, you can't resign, because then you know the match is over, but it's also like mentally it's just so hard here, because like, you know, you're losing, and you know you're gonna lose the match, and it's like you almost don't want to even calculate. You just kind of want to resign, but you can't because then you lose the match, and so you're just like you're aimlessly trying to just find a move here. What is Marie saying about Nepo? What is Marie saying? Yeah, I mean, Jan is probably like so sad right now, and I don't blame him. I mean, I would be feeling terrible too. But how is Murray's roasting him though? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, could a computer hold this position against Magnus? You know what's funny? You know what's funny is I bet a computer. I think a computer might still draw this against Magnus. I think a computer still might draw this. I bet a computer would somehow be able to draw, even though Magnus is +5. I bet a computer would save this. Murray said that he might not show up to the press conference. Yeah, who knows? I mean, I don't know if Jan will. It's just a small fine. If Jan doesn't show up to the press conference, I think it's something like maybe 10,000 euros. I mean, who cares really at this point? So we'll see. You want me to try this? How do I do it again? You guys need to tell me. How do I do this against a computer? Just how I do this? I know the board just got messed up. How do I do it? How do I do it? If I click analysis, this might be it, right? Let me close the close this. Let me go here. Is this there's something in here to play against a computer, right? Where is it? Practice versus computer. Okay, let's do this against a computer, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna play white. How do I turn off the evaluation bar? Okay, I'm white. What is there? Rook h4, bishop e6, a4 is not a move. Okay, let's take. Now, surely I'm winning here, right? With queen c5 and b3. I mean, this must be winning. At b3, a4, this has to be winning. Okay, I can't go here because the a2 hangs. So go here. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to close. How do I close the lines actually? Because I really don't want to see the lines. Is there a way to not see the lines? I mean, obviously I'm not looking at it, but still distracting having it there where I can just like look up. I don't want. I mean, I'm trying not to. So I have king h2, I have queen e5, I have queen e7, queen d6. Queen c6 allows queen d4. Wait, why isn't queen c6 just winning? Takes. Wait, why isn't this just winning? Here? Takes. This must be winning. Queen e2 or queen f5, queen b5. This has to be winning. Think about this. Wait, no, this is just winning. I go check because I can take, and then he checks. I come here and then I block that. Although queen b2, is that actually easily winning? A4, queen a2. Oh, that should be winning. Queen f7, king h6. Again, I'm not looking. I know you guys can see it obviously, but I'm not looking. Queen f7, king h6. Queen f8, king h7. Maybe f4 takes, check, takes. That's got to be right. So let's go check. I think I'm gonna go check in f. Oh, but then he has queen f2. Still not easy to prove, but I think this must be winning. Let's go check. I go f4 here to close it down. And now I go check, and now it should be winning, right? Oh wait, I just blundered. No, wait a second. I just blundered. Wait, I just blundered. Wait a second. Let me think for a second. Okay, so do I go b4? Do I go b3? Let's go. It's actually very tricky. Wait, this is not easy at all. Maybe I can check and go queen e2. Queen e2, queen. This is actually very hard to win. Oh, but maybe I can take b5. It takes f4. This is very hard. This should be winning, but it's very, very hard. Take back. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can win this. King g5 and f4 maybe. Okay, let's go queen g5 here. This must be right. And f4. Wait, but if I go f4 takes. Wait, sorry. If I go f4, queen b2, queen e5, trade, king f7, g3, king e6 takes, and that's actually a draw. Or is it a draw? Is this a draw? Wait, so f4 takes, check, takes, g5, g3, g6, takes, here, here, takes c3, g3, b3, h4 takes, h5, b4, h6, b3, h7, b2, h8, b1 is a draw. So no, it doesn't. That doesn't win. Okay, maybe I just go for the safe draw with this. Go here, and I have queen d3, which should be fine. Oh no, but queen d3, there's still queen c1, queen f4. Oh yeah. I go a4, queen a2, queen d1, queen b3, queen a1. Okay, let's go a4. Okay, so now I have to just find a way to activate the queen and the I have to activate the queen. We have a move on the board, by the way. Oh wait, no, sorry, we've got this endgame on the board. Wait, so let's just go back. We've got this endgame on the board, right? Wait, we have this endgame literally on the board. Okay, so we have this exact endgame on the board, which yeah, let's go here. Okay. Well, we'll leave it here because obviously we want to see the moves. Yeah, it's the exact same end game. Funny. Although, isn't this the wrong order, or am I wrong? Wait, wasn't the computer saying? Oh no, sorry, I was playing. What? No, this is what happened, right? And computer was playing queen a4 against me, right? Or what was the move the computer was playing here? What was the computer playing? Let me see. Computer played queen d. Oh, queen a. So the computer was playing this different. Computer went queen a8 and then a3, queen a4 to get d4. So it was playing this a little bit differently here. That's how it was doing. Okay, because yeah, Jan played queen a5, not queen a8, because queen a8 holds d6 still. So Jan played a slightly different line. Yeah, so king h2, queen f2 takes. King f8. I mean, also again, from my personal experience, there's no chance Jan is going to save this because Magnus is also a god in queen and pawn endgames too. Fabiano says this is a game between Magnus and 2300. That's a troll, right? Wait, Fabiano said Nepo's. Wait, what? Fabiano said Nepo's playing like 2300. Wait, are you guys serious? Can somebody clip that? Oh my god, I want to see the clip of that. Oh jeez. I want to see the clip of that. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh geez. Yeah, someone will clip it for me, I'm sure. Oh geez. Okay. Yeah, I mean b5 was a bad. Okay, you guys, somebody's got it. Okay, we got to watch this clip. I'm sorry. Let's watch this clip. Wait, what happened? Okay, why is it? Come on, load. Why is it not working? The clip's not loading. Here we go. Wow, is my internet
between Magnus and it could be between, you know, a 2300. I know that sounds super harsh. But not a player who's 2800 like Jan.
Look at me and we weren't on camera, but the way you looked at me. But thank you for saying 2300 because that means I would have played better than this.
Well, the thing about it is we're harsh because we know what Jan is capable of. You just said so that at Jan's best, he can fight toe to toe on even terms with Magnus Carlsen. Yep. And yesterday, I predicted Jan Nepomniachtchi to bounce back and win, and yet I was the one who was being really hard on him. And it's not because he's a bad player. Of course, he is playing the highest stage of chess.
I mean, that's Bobby. That's Bobby Hess, and yeah, Bobby Hess is totally in damage mode though. Bobby Hess is totally in damage mode, trying to salvage it. That is so brutal. That is so brutal. Jeez, one more time.
Between Magnus and game between Magnus and it could be between, you know.
Wait, what happened to this clip? Clip freeze? Wait, what happened? The clip just froze?
2300. I know that sounds super harsh. but not a player who's 2,800 like
you were
Jan.
about to look at me and say you, Danny. We weren't on camera, but the way you looked at me. But thank you for saying 2,300, because that means I would have played better than this.
Well, the thing about it is we're harsh because we know what
brutal, absolutely brutal. I mean, again, like in all fairness to Jan, I mean, it's just that game really broke him. I'm gonna be honest. Oh, clip is removed. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean it's just brutal. I mean, obviously it's very difficult, but I would say that what happened is that Jan, I would call it voodoo again. I don't know how Magnus did this, but somehow he knew when he went Queen E1, he knew that Jan, after playing H5, wanted to play for an attack and did not want to make a draw. I don't know how he did it, but he did. Yeah. Somehow it's just he voodooed him. Somehow he just voodooed him. Where Jan just was unwilling to take a draw because he played H5, and so he somehow Magnus knew that Jan was not going to go Queen E7. And I mean, I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, it's just like, yeah, Nepo just somehow Nepo, after playing H5, he just wanted a really aggressive game. That's why it happened. Chess.com removed the clip. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but I mean, we watched on our stream, so the clip does exist. Yeah. I mean, the clip exists in eternity because we watched it on our stream. So I mean, but man, just so brutal. Yeah, you can clip Hikaru. Yeah, you guys can just clip me react to it. But man, wow. Yeah. No, I mean, I mean, yeah, like it's just what it is. It's what it is. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, yeah, unfortunately this is gonna be it. Oh, it still exists. Okay, still exists. Fair enough. I mean, D5 and resignation. Well, I guess why is D5 winning? Yeah. Oh, because geez, you can just run the juicer up the board, and like all the dark squares are gonna be covered from one of these squares. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be winning. So yeah. They said Nepo is never barely sitting at the board. Feels like he doesn't want to be there. It's a bad sign. Yeah, I think Nepo at this point is just disgusted. I mean, like I said, somehow after Queen E1, Magnus was ready to make the draw, and Nepo was just like, no, I gotta try. I played H5. I can't make a draw with Queen E7, and Nepo lost his patience. I mean, I guess you could kind of say that's what happened in the other game that he lost. Nepo just lost his patience. Magnus played the meta, and he knew that eventually Jan would Jan would not be able to stay patient. That's my best guess in terms of what happened. So yeah, it's what it is. It's tough though. It's tough, and obviously, to be fair, like I mean, Jan has played a great match. I think he lost his patience a couple critical moments. I mean, the other game, I actually liked his decision. I thought overall what he did in that game he lost, I objectively liked it. But this game, definitely, to not play Queen E7, to lose complete objectivity and not just make the draw with Queen E7, is I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. That's what I would say. Then why play the Petrov? Well, I mean, that's kind of the thing. That's the problem. Is like, if Jan wanted to be solid and make the draw. Because, I mean, if he wants really dynamic play from the get-go, he should play something else, like some kind of Sicilian or something. But yeah, Magnus said Jan gets tilted easily in a podcast. I mean, Magnus clearly, he understands Nepo quite well. That's what I would say. But yeah. No, I mean, of course, Jan is exhausted as well. I mean, not, like I said, like it's easy for us at home to be like overly critical, but this one is just this Queen E7 move is just quite inexcusable because you play a Petrov and expecting. I mean, really, the only thing I think is maybe Jan lost objectivity and he thought he was completely fine. He could play for more without realizing there was actually danger. That's the only rational explanation that I have, for what has happened. Yeah. And also, by the way, beautiful technique from Magnus, because if black takes the pawn, you just go check and collect the pawn. I mean, there are many ways to win, but essentially the way white's going to win is that there's only this one pawn supporting this check, and you're just gonna zigzag and win the game with these 2 pawns. I mean, this is basically over. Could I win the current position against computer? I'm pretty sure I could. Let me set the position back up. It's not this position. What was the position? So computer played queen a8. The queen a5 was played. Check here, takes, king h7, queen e4. Oh wait, no. So it's this position, and then I'm going to play b3. And okay, so computer plays queen a2. All right, so you guys should still see. So of course, I'm not going to use a computer, but I think I would win this. So check, takes. Okay, so now there should be some way to activate the queen. Is it queen d3 and d5 or queen f5? Queen h5 and queen h4 is almost certainly winning. But there are tricks maybe. Let me think. Queen h5, queen h4 does look good. I think I just check and take the pawn. That's my guess, and take. I mean, it should just be winning. I just have to put the queen on e5 and win the game somehow. So let's go. I guess let's go check. I mean, I can always tickle, but I'm just going to go here to go queen e5. Okay, queen b2 is good. Now I will check. Maybe I create looked with h4 and g3 here. Let's go h4. So I have h5. I have g3 again. Go here. Let's go here. Okay, now I can push the pawn and go queen f4. I also have queen e8, queen e5. I just need to get this pawn rolling. I think d5 is one of the easier ways to win here. Okay, now I have d6 here, which is also winning. Magnus is gaining points from this win. Yes, after this win he is. So I think queen f3 is good. I just have to be careful about queen h1. That's the only trick here. d6, queen d1. Still tricky. Jan looks broken. Yeah, I mean, I feel really bad for Jan. Obviously, very, very, very tough situation to be in. Certainly. D6 here. D6 is obviously a move. There's also queen d3 and king g4 maybe because you cover. Actually, I think this is cleanest because you cover. There are no checks here, so I cover all the checks. Now it's bye birdie. This has to be. Wait, d6 queen a4. d6 queen a4 king h3 queen d7. I mean, this must be winning. I mean, you just go g4. Okay, now the king is stuck here. Let's go here. I think h5 is winning now. Let's go h5. Finds queen a7. Okay, that's just a blunder. This is just GG now. Wait. I can take the pawn. I can wait. This must be just winning. If I take the pawn, he goes king e5. I think go. Just need to be careful. There's one last trick here, which is a problem. Queen d3, queen h1, king h4. Okay, yeah, I go here, and now I have queen h3, queen g3, which must be winning. So here, okay, queen d2. Let's see, I can check on g3. I actually feel like maybe I've misplayed. Let's go check. I have d7, king c6. I mean, it's still very hard to win this. I think g5 is winning, though. I have queen f3. I have d7 here. Still should be winning somehow. Moves are played. Yeah, you guys can see the moves on the small board. I mean, g5. I mean, I don't know if this is actually cleanest, but this must be winning. Go here. Okay, he's trying to go queen f1, but this check doesn't do anything. So I think I keep just rolling the juicers, probably, like here. So I have queen g2. Okay, I have queen f3 and g7, maybe. Wait, this just wins, right? Yeah, this just wins. I have queen here, and then I block. Okay, I mean, there are too many pawns rolling here. I mean, this has to be winning. But again, it's a 3200 computer, so I don't want to blow it. Queen g4 probably works. Queen g4 and king 8. Queen g4 actually just wins. No. Okay, and now I think I will just. Okay, so now the only trick is that dodge the checks. How do I win? I guess just h6. Okay, now this must be an easy win. I don't want to mess it up. So queen d4, queen d8 is an issue. I guess I'll just go okay, let's go here, and I have h7. Yes. Check, and there we go, and we win the game. Make the queen. And checkmate. All right, there we go. There's the checkmate. Okay, so yeah, again, we do win against the computer here. So yeah, let's go back to the game. Let's see what's happening here. Oh wait, let's go back to the game. Okay, so we have this position after queen f2, so it's not too different from what we just did. Thank you to Bandrea Otez for the 1,050 bits. Thank you to Green Marmalade for the 11. Thank you to Packers Green for the 3. Henry John for the 6. Brananopia for the 4. Subpro for the 3. And Minkles for the 3. And Virtual NA for the 8. Thank you to Darpan for the 3. Thank you to Ben Hawks for Prime for Amazon. Blipper, Rocket Brain Surgeon, Splashy. I think you're Growing Gravity, Minda Mendo for the Prime. Thank you so much, you guys. So yeah, I mean, Magnus is gonna win this game pretty soon. Yeah, this is pretty much over. Resignation offer soon. Oh, Nepo's holding back tears. I mean, I feel really bad for Jan. I mean, he's played a great match. As I said, in hindsight, it's always easier. Just like, I mean, he should have gone for broke yesterday. Now that we know what was going to happen today, but you know, it's tough because I'll also say this. It's like I'll give you a sports analogy. Let me give you a sports analogy. So there's a classic sports analogy that when a pitcher is tired, and the manager comes out to ask how the pitcher is feeling, what will the pitcher say? And the pitcher will always say, no, coach, I'm good. I can still throw. I'm not tired. I got enough energy to get like the next 2 outs and get out of the inning. And so it's very tough because, like, to put this in chess perspective, I'm sure that Vladimir Potkin and Nepo's entire team, they tried to talk to him, see how he's feeling, and Nepo probably is like, no, I'm okay. It's all good. I'm cool. No worries. I'm sane. Maybe sane's wrong, but I'm all good. I'm not tilted. I'll be fine. And the problem is, like, internally you say that, but I don't think that's actually true. Like, I suspect Jan wasn't feeling good, and so it's like you say one thing and then like people always believe you, but inside I think Jan, like, he was really just he wasn't feeling it. And so, and then you give him a grand slam. Exactly. So I mean, that's the problem. That's really the thing. So it's like that's the thing. Like, it's just I mean, I think if he had probably said, no, I'm not fine, probably his team would have had him shift the opening. But I'm sure that Jan would, like, internally, like, after that interview with chess.com, after those things, he's telling himself that he's okay, even though he really wasn't. And I think, you know, it's a tough spot to be in. It's just tough to be in. That's what I would say. Yeah, Jan is going to lose this game, unfortunately. And with it, he's going to lose the match, I think. If the match is decided ahead of time, they do not play, you guys. So that's just what I would say. Yeah, if the match is decided ahead of time, no chance. Thank you to Chuck for the 19. Thank you so much to Token again for the 5 gifted subs. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think what I would say about Nepo is just like he couldn't bring it back. Somehow he just couldn't bring it back today. How's the mental support? Well, you see, you guys, I said this before, and a lot of people they think that I'm just like making up stuff or whatever. But what I would say about Ali Reza, and I mean, I don't know if he's watching or his dad or whomever is watching. But what I would say is that, again, the thing that really is important is mental. Mental matters a lot. It matters more against Magnus than anybody else, and it's not even close. So, like, you gotta have that really strong mental. That mental. A lot of people, because you don't see it in chess, they don't realize just how strong Magnus is mentally. And so, like, that's the thing is, like, for people like Ali Reza, you gotta be there. You gotta be always in the moment. Always in the moment. Like, Nepo lost that previous game because he sort of fell asleep at the wheel with this queen e4 move. And you always have to be sharp mentally. You always have to be there. You can't really ever, like, let your guard down. So yeah. No, I mean, Magnus has definitely exploited Nepo's mistakes, 100%. So Ali Reza's attitude is crap. I mean, Ali Reza is 17. He's got to have the toot. If you don't have the toot at 17, you're not going anywhere in chess. So yeah, that's just what I would say. Do you think it's overly critical for them to say Nepo should stay at the board? At this point, no, because I'm sure Nepo basically, he's feeling really, really bad about everything. And I mean, he's just like, he probably does want to cry. And I mean, I don't blame him at all at this point. So at this point in the game, they shouldn't be saying this. I think earlier in the game, before it was like out of control, he probably should have stayed at the board more. That's what I would say. Okay, queen d3, he does play. I mean, again, yeah, queen f2 will be played. I think very soon to go queen g3 or queen f4. But again, I mean, I lost an even better endgame where I was down a queen and pawn against Magnus in one of those last tours. So there's like 0% chance that Magnus doesn't convert this. No, I'm sure. I mean, at this point, I understand Nepo not being at the board, but earlier he should have been at the board more. That's what I would say. No, I mean, I feel really bad for Jan. I do. I do feel really, really bad. How's mental coaching at this level? Is it common to have a sports psychologist? No, it's not, which is why I was going to say that a lot of people underestimate that. And I will say this as well. I will say that, like, my period that I had my greatest results was actually a period when I was seeing a sports psychologist like all the time. So I will say that as well, separately. That period like 2014, 2015, 16, when I was having my best results, I was actually like doing stuff with a sports psychologist all the time. So it is like really, really important. Yeah. Lots of top athletes balk at the idea of needing therapy. Well, I mean, the problem with the problem is that it's like in modern day and age, we have this attitude that like it's like if you go see a psychologist, or people use colloquially shrink, it's like there's something wrong with you. Like there's something like just wrong with you. And I have actually done some stuff like in the last year, especially around a lot of the bad stuff that was happening, like in April specifically. So I have actually occasionally done some stuff even now. And like everybody thinks like you go see a psychologist, like it's like man, it's like to be really like blunt about it, it's like, oh, you're weak, man. You have no mental, like there's something wrong with you. How can you be so weak needing to go see somebody to like feel better about yourself? But I would say that it is a serious thing. It is a serious thing. Am I good at chess yourself, or just a commentator? Nah, I'm no good at chess, you guys. I was only like number 2 in the world once. Like, no biggie. I mean, I'm just here to commentate for the gallery. I don't know anything, so disregard everything I say. I've never been in any of these situations. So yeah. But that's what I would say. That's what I would honestly say is that is that like I feel like it is something that like in chess players don't really think about it very much, but I think it is something that's important. And I think Fabiano might have actually done something too. I wouldn't be shocked if Fabiano has seen has like did something with a sports psychologist too, because I feel like Fabiano is another guy who's very much in the mental. Okay, now it's just winning. I mean, just b4, b5. Like you've got no checks here. I mean, it's just GG basically. So b4 and yeah. Is it disrespectful not to resign? I mean, on one hand it is, but considering the situation, the fact that the match is basically over here, I mean, it's very, very hard. I mean, it's like you don't want to resign here. You just don't want to. Vichy is silent here too. Yeah, I mean, it's just you feel really bad for Jan. I mean, everybody feels really bad for him. And it's like he should resign, but like knowing that the match is over when he resigns, you find this, and there's like this inertia to just keep making more moves. So yeah. Fabiano doesn't seem to feel bad. Okay. Well, okay. I mean, okay. I'm not going to step into that one. You're waiting for me to say something to get clipped about Fabiano. I have nothing to say. Yeah. But yeah, it's tough spot to be in. So I'm gonna take a break, you guys. I'm gonna go use the restroom. We'll come right back, of course, in a second. I think Fabiano's being objective. Yeah, of course Fabiano's being objective, but it's still hard not to feel bad. I mean, I feel bad for Jan. I mean, it's hard not to, considering the opportunities he's had in this match. Like, it really came down to that one situation. But at any rate, I'm gonna take a short break, go use the restroom, you guys, and we'll keep rolling right along. So I'll be back in a second. All right, you guys are back. We are back. Nepo's wasting energy. I mean, it's not about energy. I mean, the match is essentially over here when he loses, so he's not wasting energy. Yeah. You could have Bear Kirby for the prime thing, a Killer for the prime thing, a JH Arsenal thing, to Where Is My Mind for the $10. So yeah. Think of Vladimir Putinesca for the 9 months. Thanks so much to Vladimir Putinesca. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I hope you guys understand that I'm not like saying this to be like negative, but it's just the reality. And I mean, this game will probably go for another hour because I think okay, what is this song? Oh, I didn't go back to my playlist. Okay, let's go back to my playlist. Sorry. No, I mean, they have to keep playing till the match is over. But yeah, I think what I would say is that ultimately I feel like for Jan, it was like he had some chances, but I mean, it's really hard to say that it's hard to judge like how real his chances were. And today, of course, the wheels just came off. Would Jan be punished if he forfeited the rest of the games? I don't know if he would. Probably not, but yeah. So that's what I would say. Do I think Magnus can win this position? I think he will. Everybody, what did Vishy say? Everybody being super harsh towards Jan. Vishy said you can never explain this kind of play. Yeah, I mean, it's the reason it doesn't make sense is because like Jan just couldn't be objective for whatever reason. After Queen E1, he just couldn't be objective. Like all he had to do was go Queen E7, but he just somehow after H5 Magnus knew that Jan's, I don't know if he knew that Jan was like shaky or Jan really just wanted to play a game, but that's what it was. What was the first winning move? I think the start of the the start of the problems obviously were when I think Rook H6 was really the start of the problems. Rook H6 was the mistake. I think after this, it's still within the balance, but it was very hard to play. I think Rook H6 was the big mistake. But yeah, that's what it is. Pressure, of course, is insane. I mean, make no mistake. Like, I'm not saying like I could do any better. And I think a lot of people are being critical. Like, they don't know. Like, Fabiano's been there. I've been there. I mean, not in the World Championship match, but we've played Canada's. We've played the highest pressure situations. But most people have not played in these situations, so it's very hard. It's very hard. Yeah, I played the candidates, which actually, I'm going to be honest, I think candidates there's more pressure there than the World Championship match, honestly. And I say that because it's a winner take all, whereas in a match, it's game by game. And so of course there's a ton of pressure, but I think it's actually less than the candidates because it's a winner take all. But that's what I would say is that I think, I think that for a lot of people who haven't been there, it's very easy to be critical of Jan. I mean, I think in this game, his mental was broken. I think his mental was broken. That's what I would say. I mean, don't let the pressure get to you. Well, that's why I say like seeing a sports psychologist or these sorts of things are really important because like the problem is that like I'll be honest, like I'm sure that after Jan lost this 8-hour game, he spoke to Potkin, he spoke to the Russian Grandmaster Vladimir Potkin, who's the second, and the rest of his team, and I'm sure that it was like he's telling him like, I'm fine, it's not a big deal, I'll just come back tomorrow, I'm all good, you know, it's all fine. But in reality, it wasn't all fine, and that's the problem. I mean, that's the problem, is just like I think he was mentally broken. I think that 8-hour game just broke him. And I think it's very clear based on the game that we're seeing today that that's what happened. Psychologist says, well, I mean, that's the thing, because I'll tell you, like, if you talk to your coach, like, I'll give you an example. I could talk to my second, and I've lost to Magnus plenty of times. There's, no shame in losing to Magnus. But yeah, you lose and you're like, whatever, F it. Like, it's fine. It's just one game. I'm going to come back tomorrow. It's all good. It's just Magnus. No biggie. But like, it really, there is more to it than that. So, yeah, Potkin, I don't know if he's actually second for this term or just like the overarching coach, but you're just like, yeah, big deal. One game, move on. But Magnus is not broken. Magnus won that game. That 8-hour game gave him a huge boost of confidence. So that's the thing. So, yeah. Nepo said he doesn't need to see a psychologist. Well, like I said, everybody has their own routine. But I think like seeing a sports psychologist is a really good thing, especially if you're playing against Magnus. I do believe that quite firmly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's what I would say. Change the score to 5-3, I might. But yeah, I think seeing like I don't mean like a psychologist, I mean like sports psychologist for performance is very underestimated in chess. Nobody really does it because obviously it costs money. But I think it's a big thing. It's a big thing. I think Ready Player One for the 2 months. Like I actually suspect Fabiano has at some point done that. Like I think there's a very good chance Fabiano did that before his match against Magnus. But unless someone asks him, who knows? Maybe someone in the chess.com chat could ask that question. If Fabiano has ever seen a sports psychologist. But yeah. How long do you take to recover from a loss? Like, I mean, the thing is, the loss that Jan had is the worst type of loss you can ever have in chess. Like, if you lose a game in 20 moves or something, you get blown off the board, it's bad, but it's like, okay, I messed up the opening. When you lose an 8-hour game, like you get ground down in one of those end games, like it is the single worst feeling you'll ever have in chess, especially if you're a pro. There's no worse feeling. I mean, that's worse than losing a winning position. It's just the worst, the absolute worst. And I can say that, based on my experience when I lost this 7-hour game to Magnus, in London in 2015. Like, I mean, I think that was like a 100-move game also, by the way. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it was the London Chess Classic. I'm pulling this up so you guys can see it while we wait for moves. This game is not worse because he was just mentally broken. He was just mentally broken. But yeah, show the game. I will just show it once I can get it to load. What's wrong with the internet today? Okay, there we go. Let's show. I'll change the scene just so you guys can see it. Actually, I'll just adjust the board here so we don't have to change scenes, I guess. Just give me 1 second. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, there we go. I'll just make it bigger here so you guys can see it. This was a game that I played against Magnus in I'll make it small like this so you guys can see it. Whatever, who cares? It doesn't have to be perfect. But yeah, there's this game that I lost to Magnus. Let me just get the moves going. Okay, there we go. So I got this end game against Magnus. I'll start right here. So we got this end game where it was no, I'm talking about a much different game where white has 2 bishops against 2 knights. Actually, I mean, again, you can see it's kind of like same sort of thing. 2 bishops versus 2 knights, and this game went on forever. And somewhere I was drawing this towards the end, and you keep defending, keep moving, keep checking, take the pawn, and it just goes on and on and on and on. I'm black in this game, and so I go back. He takes. I go here. Right, and we get this very tricky end game here with king e5. I go knight e2, and I think somewhere it's still drawing. I think somewhere even around here, it was still a draw. Right about here, I think there was some draw. Was it not a4 or was it knight c4? I'm trying to remember. It was very, very tricky. But right around here, somewhere in this line was we're really deep in the game, I had a draw that I missed. Maybe it was it here? Maybe it's already losing. I think it was here, actually. I think in this position there's some way to draw. Was it knight b5 here? Like right off, I don't even remember what the drawing line was, but there's some drawing line. At any rate, I miss it. And I ended up losing this game. Yeah, because after bishop a4, I just resigned. And this was what? Actually, it wasn't 100 moves. It was only 78 moves. But there was some kind of draw in this. And this was like a 7-hour game. And so this is a game that I can reference from my own personal experience. That's the same situation. No, the 2018 one was not worse. There were a lot of different things going on then. That was just an opening blunder. So that was completely different. But no, this one was much worse. This was much worse. But anyway, let's get back to the game. Let me adjust the screen again so we have the score and everything showing correctly. 1 second. And let me make sure that I can adjust it. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. Let me adjust the scores as well. I think that looks pretty good. So let's just leave it here. All right, so we have this position after g6 being played. Let me adjust the 4 as well. I think I kind of offset it a little bit. Up here. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, again, like that's just my own personal experience, but that's what I would say is that obviously it's very, very tough. Very, very tough. What is 1? 1? What is 1? It's not a, no, this is not a draw. Over 1/10 of an inch, which one? The 3? Maybe the 3 is wrong. I don't know. You guys are being really nitty about this. I don't know what you mean. This one should be over. Yeah, line it up. Okay, whatever. Okay. Anyway, why doesn't Jan resign? Because he's in a bad move. 1, what's the joke? Oh, type 1 in chat, you've never lost to Magnus. Touche. Good one. So yeah, thank you to Thornicus for the 2. Thank you to Priest of Jix for the 9 months. Thank you so much. Appreciate. Yeah, type 1. Yeah, now everyone's gonna type 1. Yeah, literally 111. 20,000 people in chat gonna type 1. 20,000 people typing 1 over and over again. I can't type 1 exactly. Thank you to Wonder Guys for the 5 gifts. Thank you so much to Wonder Guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So yeah, it's unfortunate for sure, but this game is, I mean, I guess this game is going to go on for quite a while is what I would say. I think Magnus, especially because Magnus knows he's winning here, we're not going to see any rushed moves. That's what I would say. Whoever predicted 47, oh yeah, 40, it's going to be more than 46 moves. But yeah, this is, I mean, of course this is losing obviously for Jan at this point. So all right, so we're waiting for a move from Magnus. He's obviously using all his time here. No big rush, especially because he knows that if he wins this game, it's all over. So yeah, Jan needs a miracle. He needs Magnus to basically, I don't know, like get struck by lightning or something here. Like he needs like a magical electricity surge, because like there's just no chance. Also, oh my gosh, I also realized Jan can't even bring the king over because this is also losing. I also can go queen f3. Like even this endgame is losing because I got the outside wing pawn, and so I just come over. I distract your king with this one. Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing you can do. There's just nothing you can do. He needs Sentinel to hunt down Magneto. Yeah, I mean, there's just, oh, this is so harsh. And Jan is an hour 15. I really think Jan is gonna, I think Jan is gonna bleed his time out here. I don't think Jan is just gonna resign. I think he's gonna probably bleed his time. Yeah, Queen D1 is such a nasty move. Like it's like the concept of the rook behind the pawn, same thing. Like the queen is behind, the pawn goes, I mean, pawns go up. I would win this position with white too. Not that that's really saying much. But yeah, I mean, the queen covers everything. Like, for example, just look at this king here on h1. The queen can't check it. Like, you have the pawns in front of the king. The king is very, very safe on h1. And look at this queen. It covers everything. And it's like the rook behind the passed pawn. You keep the queen behind the passed pawn. And, oh, man, so brutal. I mean, I would just resign here, honestly. But Jan either resigns here or he, like, runs it out for an hour. Those are really the only 2 options that I see. One of those 2 things is going to happen. I don't know which one. But tough. Very, very tough. Very, very tough here. Nepo stalling until XQC goes live. That's a good one too. Why is it over? I think the match goes on, but it will end as soon as Magnus gets to 7.5. He's gonna need 2.5 points out of the next like 6 games, I guess. So he's gonna win. Thank you to Popeye for the 33. Thank you to the Sentry for the tier 1. Thank you so much. So shouldn't he just resign? Well, tomorrow's a rest day, which, by the way, now is really bad for Nepo because Jan is probably going to want to break. He's probably going to want to do the classic Rockstar and just like break things. So it's really bad that there's a rest day now, honestly. Although maybe he would just be tilted out of his mind if he had to play tomorrow. But yeah, can't he just take the piece off the board? Yeah, just brush all the pieces off the board. That would be that would be funny. You can't forfeit the match. No. You can't. Why did Nepo risk it so much? He was just purely on tilt. There's no other explanation. He was on tilt. He was on tilt, but see, the thing is, if he was on tilt, he never should have played the Petrov, because it's such a symmetrical dry opening that you play it to draw. You never play it to like go for a win. That's the problem with the whole thing. Jan's not at the board again. Okay. Yeah. I mean, what can you say? I mean, what can you say? Could I win this with 30 seconds against Fish? I think if I had 30 seconds with increment, I think I would still win this against Stockfish, because the ideas are so easy here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, just king h1, and look at this king. So safe here. Everything is guarded. Queen behind the passed pawn. Can't get the king over. If black could put the king on d7, there would be some outside chances to maybe do something. But here, there's just nothing you can do here. I mean, Nepo's mental is broken regardless. There's nothing more that he goes g5. Okay, so he's trying to go for one last cheese with g4. So he wants d5, g4, and if queen g4, I guess there's some kind of draw here with queen e5 maybe. This is the one last cheese he has. It's d5, g4, and then if you take, there's h3, and maybe some prayer of a naked white king here, and some draw, although king is completely secure. So, yeah. Jan is not going to recover. He's going to lose the match. I already tried against Stockfish. Also, by the way, white doesn't even have to go d5. White can... Oh, I guess b4, there's still a problem because there's this check, maybe. There's still this check. I mean, it's obviously winning, but there's still this check. So, I mean, everything wins here for white. It's just a question of... I mean, it's really a question of how long will Jan think. That's what I would say. Mate, this is mate in 14? Wait, I don't see mate in 14. Where's mate in 14? Oh, the score is first to 7.5. That's the score. First to 7.5 points. And of course, Jan will be getting there very soon. So tough. Very, very tough. Am I still competing? Yeah, I still do play chess. Of course I do. Are the commentators being too harsh? I mean, it's tough. Like, if Vichy is harsh or Fabian are harsh, I mean, those guys have been in these situations, so like you can't... I mean, they know what it's like, obviously. But I don't know. Like, the thing is, it's like this game has very little to do with Magnus's bad play, or not Magnus's bad play. Sorry, Nepo's bad play, and more to do with what happened in the previous two games. So that's the thing. Oh, it's mate in 12 on Sessa. Oh, is there some... Okay, it's got to be what? It's got to be d5, d6 or something then. Oh gosh. It's like d5, g4, d6 takes d7. No, this doesn't work, you guys. No, mate. There's mate in 11. No, there's no mate in 11. You guys are trolling. It's a win, not a mate. Yeah. Also, you guys, for those of you who are wondering, tomorrow we do have our Speed Chess Championship match against Anish Giri, so we have that coming up tomorrow. Should be pretty hype. Really looking forward to it. So yeah, we play Anish tomorrow in the Speed Chess Championship. Looking forward to that. It should be a fun match, and we'll see. Is it already winning? Yeah, this is over already. Does Nihal stand a chance? Yeah, Nihal's gonna have to beat the winner of the match between Wesley and Fabiano. If Fabiano can pull off another big upset against Wesley, I think there's a good chance Nihal will win. Objectively, I think Wesley's gonna win, so I think Wesley's likely gonna win. Wesley likely is gonna beat Nihal if he's in the semis. Yeah. Thank you to Vecdex for the prime. Thanks so much to Vecdex. I mean, what can you say about... I mean, this game, Magnus, he sensed the weakness and he's played very well, but 100% Nepo tilted. No doubt about it. Nepo completely tilted. So, yeah. Thank you to Chewis for the prime. Thanks so much to Chewis. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I think Ali Reza could win the next candidates. Who knows? Do chess players do yoga or something related to it? I've done various meditation over the years. I mean, probably two things that I did the most for meditation and like just like having a sports psychologist for a period of time and doing certain things. I'm not going to explain what, obviously, because that costs money. Someone wants to know those secrets. I don't just give those secrets away freely. But yeah, that's mainly what I did. Yeah, it's not meet and eat. No chance. Yeah, am I playing the Grand Prix? Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, at any rate, let's see what's gonna happen here. Again, you guys, no viewer Andes. I saw someone's being a viewer Andy. I've said it before. There are a lot of people from other channels who come in here when we have a smaller audience. And they try to say, oh well, this channel or that channel, they have more viewers. We're not about that here. So people can do what they want, but it's not appropriate. That's what I would say. Nepo is looking dejected. He should be. I mean, this is so brutal. Yeah, this is really tough. Nepo might not show up to the press conference, take a 5K hit. Honestly, I mean, he should not even remotely care about the 5K, if I'm being honest. Should not care about the 5K. Just, do what you got to do. Oh man, and Magnus played D5. Yeah, the thing is, Magnus also clearly here, he's not going to sit around and use a lot of time. So yeah. Have I ever played Joe? I don't think Joe plays chess. So let's leave it there. Do what's more important for your mental. Yeah, I mean, honestly, who cares about money? So what is Magnus thinking? This hasn't happened, by the way. Oh, this has happened. Wait, so okay, so now, I mean, as I said, D6 just wins again. The problem here is that after this, the queen covers all the light squares, so it's just a matter of maneuvering your king to the right square to dodge the checks. Here's a queen f3. Interesting. I mean, obviously everything wins here. I mean, maybe you can take and go queen d4, but again, you're down 3 juicers. Like, you're down 3 juicers. I guess temporarily you stop the pawn pushes, but even this, I mean, there's check and then I guess king h3. Oh, Jan resigns. Jan does resign here. Never mind. So yeah. So Jan resigns here after queen f3, and Magnus takes a 2-point lead heading into the rest day. Of course, we are going to watch a press conference, you guys. Just absolutely tough. Very, very tough. What can I even say? What can I say? Tough. I mean, he lost his objectivity when he didn't play queen e7. Yeah, I mean, he got tilted, and I mean, Magnus, I mean, I assume there are people who watch our stream or people who are paying attention in the various chats, but the big question of the day is for Magnus, is like, how did he know that Jan was not going to go queen e7? Like, did he just have that sense that after h5 Jan needed to like play actively, or like how did he come to that conclusion? That's really what it comes up to. Jan looks incredibly upset. Yeah, I mean, he should be. I mean, like queen e7 was I don't want to be harsh, obviously, because I'm not there, but like, I just don't know how you do that, even if you're tilted, because you're only down 1 game. Like, you're only down a game here, and you're gonna get white in the next 3 games. So, yeah, it's what it is. But yeah, tough, very, very tough. But he is exhausted. No, of course Jan is exhausted. I mean, queen e7 would have been an easy draw. This game would have been drawn like within 2 hours if he had played queen e7, because it's too symmetrical here for either side to get anything. So yeah, I really don't know. I don't know. It's tough. Very tough. All right, you guys, I'm going to take one more short break before the press conference. We'll go there as soon as it happens, but I'm going to take one last break. Then we're going to cover the presser. I'm not ending my stream, just to be clear. We're going to keep rolling on. But I'll take one final break since I think the presser's like 3-4 minutes away. So be right back. All right, so we're back. How did it come to this? I left him as almost equal to Ghost Strikes again. I mean, basically, Jan just didn't. Jan just didn't play Queen E7. That's all it comes down to. I mean, he was on tilt and he couldn't bring himself back to play Queen E7. That's really all there is to it. But yeah, let me get this as well. Wait, sorry. Let's go back here. He just couldn't bring it back. That's all there is to it. That's really all there is to it. And you know, it's tough. Is the tournament over? No, it's not over. It's not over, but I mean, but it is over, I guess. Can Jan bounce back? I mean, maybe he'll get a win. I mean, even that though, I mean, I feel like at this point Jan is just sort of probably has a F this attitude, if I'm being honest. So I just don't see it. I just really don't see it. And I mean, it's very, very tough, obviously. I mean, I feel really bad for Jan, but it's what it is. Nepo can come back. Nepo can come back. I mean, I don't see it. The only time that you've seen someone come back was when Bobby Fischer came back down two games after round 3. Do we have a clip? What is this clip? I don't think Jan can win 2 games. I don't. What is this clip? Let's watch this clip. Also, Twitch is being really slow this morning, or maybe it's just me. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, Twitch is being like really slow. I don't think it's actually on me.
Maybe, I mean, King H2 also looks pretty clean, but Queen F3 even seems to be a shortcut to that position that we were looking at. H takes G2.
Like he's now played that on the board.
Yeah.
And
there
we
it is.
have resignation. Magnus Carlsen takes game 8.
Well, Magnus doesn't look upset there, but anyway, yeah, I don't know what that is. So, all right, let's put the music back on and wait a second. I mean, yeah, Magnus will be the world champion. Yeah, he'll be the world champion for another 2 years. I mean, this disaster territory. I mean, I feel like that game just broke him. That 8-hour game really just broke him. I mean, what can you say? So yeah, I feel really bad for Nepo because internally I'm sure he's distraught. And I mean, because this is a chance of a lifetime. So yeah, would I consider joining the next candidates? I mean, if I play well in the Grand Prix, I might qualify. But again, we'll see. Long way to go. Long way to go. Magnus now beats Kasparov's record, or he needs one more. Well, I mean, Vichy is also a 5-time world champion as well, I believe. So this would make Magnus 5 this is the 5th match, right? So I think this would be 5, just like Vichy. But again, yeah, I mean, it's just like brutal, absolutely brutal. Yeah, brutal for Jan. So we're just waiting for the press conference, and we will cover it, of course, very, very shortly. As soon as it starts, we'll pop it up. Magnus' strength is endurance. Well, I mean, I think the thing is that it's like he saves these I think mentally he saves these positions that are really tough sometimes, but then his opponents also, like, they aren't able to keep it together the whole way. I mean, Fabiano did, obviously, just he wasn't good enough in rapid, but yeah, it's brutal. This is brutal. Very, very brutal. Wearing a TSM jersey playing the finals would be so cool. Yeah, of course it would be. That would be the dream. Vichy wasn't as dominant. No, of course not. But I mean, Vichy was also world champion. He was still qualifying for matches when he was like 40 plus, to be fair. So Vichy remains, I mean, an unbelievably strong player. I mean, Kasparov was the GOAT. Magnus obviously is the GOAT because, I mean, he has a much higher rating, first of all, and it's in a period where everybody plays better. I mean, every world champion is going to be better than Kasparov as time goes on, just because the game, everybody has so much more knowledge and everybody plays at such a high level. But that's what I would say. Why am I on Team TSM alone? What do you mean? I mean, Nepo's not coming back here. My chances with Anand in class, what you mean, me against Anand or Anand versus Magnus? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that, but at any rate, it is what it is. Magnus is 28.58 right now, but his all-time high is 28.89. So yeah. Do I think Nepo will take the fine and not show up? Very tough. I think he'll show up probably, but I don't know. We are gonna watch the press conference live, so that's why I have it on my other monitor. I'm just waiting for it to start. And as soon as it starts, we'll watch it. How many world champions have I beaten? I mean, I've only beaten the last couple, though, because I never played Gary, or I never got to play Karpov or Kasparov in ranked classical games. So, I mean, I beat Magnus. I've beaten Anand. I've beaten Kramnik. So I mean, just the modern world champions. I mean, I beat all three of the modern. I mean, I guess Topalov was technically world champion too, right? So I've beaten Topalov. But yeah, I mean, again, I never played Kasparov or Karpov. I wish I had had the chance. I would have loved to have played Gary. Gary was not in classical rank. Oh, I did beat Karpov. No, sorry, I did beat Karpov. I beat Karpov in San Sebastian, a classical game in 2009. So I did beat Karpov actually. So yeah, I did. I forgot about that one. So yeah, so I've beaten like 5 of the last 6 world champions, I guess, something like that. But I mean, not really a big deal. I beat Magnus in classical chess. Yeah, I beat him in Bilbao, Spain. It was a Najdorf game. So anyway, could I beat Gary in Hearthstone? That's an interesting question. I don't know. So I have beaten Ponomarev in classical. I think I've beaten Kasim Zhanov in classical as well. But again, like, yeah, whatever. Who cares? It's not really a big deal. Yeah. Gary's last name is Chess, not Kasparov. No, his last name is actually Hearthstone. His name is Gary Hearthstone. That's his actual name. Type 1 if you beat a world champion. Right, exactly. Type 1 if you beat a world champion. And chat is going to be like quiet. Or type 2 if you didn't beat a world champion. Yeah. Everyone typing 1. Exactly. Yeah, chat beat a world champion. That's a good one. But yeah. Anyway, in all seriousness, it's just like very, very tough for Jan. Fabi was so critical. I mean, Fabi has the right to be critical because Fabiano was there. He's played a world championship match. I mean, he dueled with Magnus and he held all square. Like he was even through all the classical games. So Fabi, I think, has more of a right than anybody to criticize Jan. I will say that. So yeah, that's what I would say. But we're still waiting. We're still waiting again, like I said, for the press conference. Why is it only every other year? Because there's a whole cycle to have somebody get to that point. That's really what it comes down to. Did I see this fast learner that was going to beat Magnus? Oh yeah, Max Deutsch. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. That was pretty weird. But anyway, like I said, we're waiting for the press conference. It should be starting pretty soon, I think. Why is nothing happening? Because I have it on my other monitors waiting for the players to come in, and I will, of course, be covering it. So, yeah. 2300 Elo Day, like I said, I mean, you can like it, hate it. Fabiano, I mean, as I said, he has more of a right than anybody to be critical of Nepo. So that's will Nepo quit chess? Nah, I don't think so. No, we're gonna watch the FIDE stream, you guys. We'll watch the one without the desync, the one where we don't have the technical issues. So we will see that. Yeah, I've been quite soft on Nepo. I mean, I would just say that there's a lot of pressure, and I think mentally that I guess you know what it is. It's that I have to say, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but Fabiano, I feel like Fabiano's never lost that kind of like really brutal 7 or 8 hour like end game squeeze to Magnus, to be fair. And I have, so I kind of like I have a lot of sympathy for Nepo, I would say. So I think Levant switching federations will affect the American Olympic team. You're talking about Chess Olympiad. Probably it will. I mean, I already was thinking that I wouldn't play the Olympiad regardless of Levant. So I don't know even if I qualify at this point, but it's not something that bothers me either way, because I've been in this or I've not been in, sorry, I played a lot of Chess Olympiads. I played like 6. I think I played 6 or 7 Chess Olympiads. That's a lot, and that's enough for me. So probably I won't play the next Chess Olympiad regardless. Dude, how dare you compare yourself to Magnus? I'm not comparing myself to Magnus. I was saying that I've been in the same situation that Jan was in. That's not comparing myself to Magnus. What are you talking about? Or maybe you're referring to someone in chat. I don't know. But anyway, whatever. I don't get why you feel sorry it's competitive sport and he wasn't good enough. Yeah, I mean, you're right that he wasn't good enough. I mean, you can go back to that. Just play good moves, and just play good moves, and bad things don't happen, obviously. But I mean, really, just he fell asleep on one move, and he still defended so well, and he lost, and so I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. That's what I would say. Well, I play the World Blitzing Grand Prix. Yeah, how dare you? How dare you? Yes. What would I have done differently? I mean, the only thing I would have done differently probably is in this game I would have played Queen E7. That's the only thing that I think I mean that I would have done. I never would have played Rook H6. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have done. I mean, I would have gone Queen E7. I would have gone Queen E7. I think like 95% of the time, in this position. So that's why I'm just confused. Maybe 99%, honestly, because King F8 just looks wrong. It just does not look right. So I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't this game promote Drosh WCC games since Nepo tried for glory and got punished? Well, I mean that's always like that's always the catch-22 is like everyone's like we want aggressive games, and you see what happens when like Jan doesn't take the draw. He gets punished very harshly in this game. So I mean it cuts both ways is what I would say. I could delete the numbers. True, we don't need the numbers right now, I guess. That is a good point. But yeah, chess promotes violence. That's a good one too. Oh, they're there. 1 second, they're there.
19.
They're there. 1 second. Let me stop the music. I see Magnus at the press conference. Sorry, they're there. Let me change the scene. Here we go. Let's watch.
So,
Let's watch.
that was 1986, and
or no, sorry, Jan is there.
At least the 80.
So they're still he's still not there. So yeah, let's just wait till Magnus shows up. Yeah. Okay, so let's just wait. El Vichy, yes, Vichy, the legend. Yeah, Jan showed up. Respect. Yeah. No, I agree. All right, so we're gonna wait for the press conference. Should be starting very, very shortly. Magnus popping champagne? I don't think so. Poor Jan. You can see like he's so. Oh man, he's so sad. I feel so bad for him. Yeah, you can tell like he is so sad. Oh man. Yeah, it's actually. I mean, it's really tough. Really tough to watch. I'm leaving it muted until Magnus shows up. Yeah, oh man, you can tell like it's not even anger, it's just sadness. It's just like it's total sadness. You can tell. I know how Jan feels better than any of us. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I will say that like I know exactly how he feels right now, and it's like it's terrible. Okay, so here's Magnus. He's showing up. Okay, so we'll unmute in a second and go from there.
Pro who came back from a 5-point deficit, which is the limit. So.
Okay, thanks for watching, and or to Morris and the players for the press conference. See you the day after tomorrow.
On the sides, be careful to always wear your mask at all times, and do not touch the microphones.
Yeah,
I'll ask a few questions, and then
it's just soft. I can't up it. It's just soft on the feed end. I think
difficult.
Yeah, it's just soft on the feed end. I can't up it. Sorry.
Joining us.
It's just soft on feed A's stream.
Will certainly be difficult, so they need to be asked. First question I have is
I can't up it, you guys. I have it on max volume.
Why did it happen?
Well, I don't think those questions are difficult because, basically, in another iteration, it would be a draw like in 15 moves after Queen E1, check Queen E7. But I would say it was like a change of slightly weird decisions. So starting with King F8, this was like somewhat more artificial than just Queen E7. Yeah, trading away the queens and basically finishing the game quickly. But that wasn't actually such a big deal. I think it's still very natural position, like it's almost equal. But yeah, perhaps after H4, C4, it became slightly unpleasant. So perhaps instead of H4, I could just chase the queen, like with Queen D6, intending Rook E6. So it would also be closer to equality. And I mean, indeed, B5 was just a very bad blunder. But I believe at that moment the position became like slightly unpleasant, but still it was, I believe, closer to a draw. But I mean, of course, after B5, it's probably I didn't defend in the best way, but it becomes really unpleasant, and I guess, frankly speaking, it's hard to defend after such a blunder.
What did you overlook? Did you see the Queen A3 check threat and thought there was something that you had as a counter? Or
yeah, I mean, indeed I saw it, but I forgot that in the line King J8, Queen A7, B takes E4, actually Bishop is hanging, yeah, so, but once again, at this moment, it's, especially after D takes C4, it's not as, straightforward draw as it used to be.
Such a game must be extremely difficult. At the moment when you realized you had blundered, your reaction when you saw it, or what point did you realize it?
Well, I wasn't quite happy, yeah. But I mean, in general, the task remains the same. Yeah, I get to try to win some games. So since anyway I was down on scores, so now it's instead of 1 win I need 2 wins. So let's see what will happen.
Final question in this part: your Queen to E7 avoidance. Did you just not want to play a quick game, or were you trying to keep some fight alive?
No, I mean, okay, I just didn't see a big difference between Queen E7 and King F8, so I thought that anyway it will end quickly in a draw. But
what?
Yeah, I mean, of course, after H5, I was, sort of expecting more tense game, but yeah, okay, Queen E1 was a brilliant practical decision, yeah, just to offer a draw silently.
Thanks, Magnus. I guess immediate feelings after such a win.
Yeah, very happy with the result. Obviously, that's yeah. What can I say? It's huge. Otherwise, I'm pretty tired, and looking forward to the rest day.
The opening, you seemed a bit surprised. You took a long time after his H5 to play Queen E1. What were you thinking about at this point?
Yeah, I was a bit confused. I mean, I thought Black's really not supposed to go bishop d6 there, and h5. Obviously, I couldn't completely know whether it was preparation or not, although I suspected that it was not. Well, anyway, I just sat thinking for so long that I couldn't, I couldn't calculate properly. So I decided just to trade queens, and then
exactly, yeah, exactly.
Was just going to be a draw. Of course, I was hoping slightly that he would go for King F8, since I thought I'd have a risk-free position there. And yeah, after that, the game was kind of pleasant for me. I don't think it's very easy for Black to force a draw, and as long as you cannot force the draw, then so it's going to be like a little bit of pressure that you have to neutralize. Yeah, then of course, yeah, b5 puzzled me as well, because I thought that was a blunder, and yeah, that was.
I'll talk more after you guys.
I think, yeah, both of us were pretty tired at that point, but it always helps to have the initiative in that case.
Your reaction in full when b5 actually came on the board, you were puzzled. At some point, you must have realized that this was a big mistake.
No, I suspected it was a mistake. Like I thought it was just a blunder. But I had plenty of time, so I thought I'll double check, see what he's intending, and turned out it was nothing.
At the end, you seemed especially careful to make sure that you won the game. The precision at that point was just abundance of caution.
Yeah. For instance, I could have traded h4 for b3 earlier, which probably wins pretty easily. But I thought I can always do that later. I have plenty of time. There's no reason to force things quite yet. So yeah, I thought the win is not going away. Let's just be really careful.
At a point of being up +2 in a match of this duration with 6 games to go, how do you avoid feeling or not feeling overconfident or relaxing when you have such a significant lead?
I think you just focus on the next game always. That's I mean, there's still 6 games to go against a very strong opponent, so it's never easy. But yeah, clearly 2 games is makes a huge difference to just one.
Sorry, final question for you on my part, Jan. You're down 2. How do you avoid not feeling like this is really a Herculean challenge?
No, well, I believe it's about the level of chess. So I think in the beginning of the match I got quite some chances, and hopefully if I play well, I will keep getting these chances. Yeah, so it's about my own play, and I don't think I should think about the score. But yeah, indeed, it would be better to have like an equal score instead of this one. But we have what we have.
I'll open the floor to the journalists. Remember to use the microphones and keep your mask on. I will start here.
Mike Klein with chess.com. This question's for the champion. Late in the game, Magnus, there was a moment, I don't think you were at the board, where Jan put his head in his hands, looked visibly more emotional than in the past. What goes through your mind when you see your opponent go through those emotions, and do you ever feel sympathy?
Yeah, I didn't particularly see that. But the World Championship is tough. You know, it's really brutal emotionally with its ups and downs, and it's part of what makes it exciting and also extremely tough.
Hans Solbakken from NRK. Question to Jan Nepomniachtchi. How do you rate your performance today?
Well, in general, I'd like to, apologize for today's performance.
Why?
It was probably far below than not even, let's say, my normal level, but in general, I think it was below than just at GM level.
Were you tired after 3 on the 3rd day of playing?
No, I don't think it's about being tired. It's like some weird sequence of choices, but yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward for the next games.
Yeah, Nicholas from Aftenposten in Norway. I have a question for you, Magnus. You spent many games drawing since 2016 in the World Championships. Now you have won 2 games in 3. What has been the key to that change?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, this second win probably doesn't happen without the first. So everything is kind of connected. For instance, I think if I'd won the first game against Carano when I had a winning position, or he had won one of the 2 games where he had a winning position, things could have turned out a lot different. There could have been a lot more decisive games. So it's not a shock that the second one comes quickly after the first.
How do you see your chances to win the match now?
They're very good.
Hi, Saravanan from ChessBase. Question to Magnus. When Jan played h5 on the 9th move, you took a long think, and at that point, commentators and the engines were suggesting either rook e1 or c4, probably active play against a move like h5. Obviously, you must have considered that also. What made you choose queen e1 instead of a move involving c4 rather than queen e1, which might lead to queen e7 and queen exchange and so on?
Yeah, I would say my brain was just fried, and I felt that a sharp battle was not in my interests. So I was trying to calculate the lines if I'd gone for one of the principled options, but I couldn't like get any good results from it. So in the end, I decided that I'll play queen e1, and if he plays queen e7, it's probably going to be a draw, and I would be fine with that.
Okay. Does that mean that queen e1 was a decision over the board? It was not in your files or your preparation?
Yeah, I didn't know the move.
Sorry about the volume, you guys, but it's just on their end too. I can't up the volume. Sorry.
I think for 40 minutes and play a move. That's,
I can't do it. The volume's at max. It's just on their end. It's very low.
Thank you.
No, in OBS it's at max too, you guys.
What move surprised you the most?
Everything's at max.
A5 or B5?
I mean, that's a weird question. I guess they were both surprising, but B5, B5 obviously. You don't expect your opponent to
Oh come on! What is it?
Okay,
Oh jeez.
Jan,
oh come on!
Earning a lot of new fans
oh my God!
online due
come
to
on!
the way you
Seriously?
handle
What
these
the?
press conferences,
the
even
fridge?
after a painful game. How do you manage to stay so cool?
No, but
okay, there goes the chat.
It's not the first game I lost in my career, though particularly this one was one of the worst, perhaps. And sadly, I think it's not the last game. So I just think it's a part of the game, and it's a part of learning at some point. So once again, we have what we have.
Well, thank you.
Sagar Shah from Chessbase India. My question is to Jan. Did Magnus's knight d2 in the opening surprise you? Was bishop d6 preparation?
Well, knight d2 is obviously not the main line, I would say, yeah, but it could be quite poisonous, and I think I played this line with white at least once, and of course I studied knight d2, so perhaps perhaps bishop d6 is not the most precise move, but in general I think the position is quite balanced, and black has a lot of different tries. The h5 idea, I think it exists, and at least in the knight c3 line, I believe it's quite smart. So I was considering trying to understand what's the difference, but I thought it would be quite playable. Since black has its own benefits, like queen h4, pro king g3, queen f6, and then h4, or something like this. So I thought it would be just interesting to see what's going on in this position after it becomes slightly unbalanced.
And when you played b5 and Magnus gave queen a3 check, you were not on the board for quite some time. You were in your in the restroom. Did you calculate after queen a7, bishop takes h4?
Well, the audio is better on chess.com, but it's out of sync, right?
It seemed like black could defend better, right?
Obviously, black could defend better, but in general, I felt like for quite some time I was regretting of playing b5. Though I think after bishop h3, there is like capturing on f7, some rook e8. I believe some rook e8 check or something. Yes, so.
No, but rook e8, there's rook g6.
Sorry.
Rook e8, there's rook g6. So
no,
I mean,
then it's a check. So queen a7.
Yeah, I mean, I take with the queen, because if I take with the bishop and rook e8, there's rook g6.
No, but which moment? You mean?
Rook e8, king h7.
Bishop h7. If rook e8, king h7, bishop f7, there's rook g6.
Well, again, queen a3. Okay, queen a3 check, king g8, queen takes a7.
Yeah, queen takes a7, bishop
h3, and if rook e8 check.
Rook e8, king h7.
Takes on f7.
Bishop f7, rook g6.
Rook g6 here. Yeah, okay, it would be something. But also, I was kind of not sure about queen takes f7.
Yeah, this is probably what I have to do.
Indeed, I didn't play at my best after the blunder, but it was a little bit hard to change.
Magnus is flexing. He's
the
flexing
of the game, because it was like probably in a very drawish position. Of course, it's like blundering a pawn like this. It hurts.
Thank you.
Ole Kristiansen from VG Norway. Question for Jan. Is it different to bounce back from a lost game in a match compared to a tournament?
Well, once I will bounce back, I will surely tell you.
Roberto Del Prato from Uno Scaccista, Italy. I ask it to both players. Did the change of the schedule 3 games before the rest day affect the quality of the game today? In the previous matches, you have 2 games and then a rest day. Is there any impact?
Magnus?
No, I think the 8-hour game affected the next games. But I'm in general all for it. That shaking it up a bit and making it more difficult for the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that. Okay, and 8-hour games is something you don't expect to happen too often. But in general, yeah, I mean, probably three games in a row is slightly more difficult than 2 games in a row. But it all starts, affecting after quite some time. Yes, so I think here in the middle of the match is more or less the same. Thank you.
Mike Klein with chess.com again. My question is for Jan. You've had a couple promising positions as black, and today you declined this tacit draw offer with Queen E1. I'm wondering, this idea of trying to win as white and draw as black, is that just an antiquated way of going into a match? Is that not an applicable strategy anymore?
Well, I mean, okay, I'm just trying to play in basically every position, but I would say that, King F8 was just a very silly and impractical decision, but that's probably because I thought that, it will be a draw anyway. Like, it doesn't matter if I play Queen E7 or King F8. So it was surely an inaccuracy, and, few next moves also were really uncalled for. But in general, I think, yeah, it's basically in every position, even if it's drawish, you can try to bring in some tension and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Magnus, you said by this point in the match, probably both of you are a little tired. Apart from this 3 games, 2 games, 3 games thing, there is also the late start of the game at 4:30 in the afternoon. If the match could start back all over again, would you actually try to set it back to 2 games followed by a rest day and an early start to the match?
No, I think it's fine. As I said earlier, it's good to shake it up, make it more difficult for the players. It makes the match more exciting. Obviously the late start of the games mean that there could be some outliers where your schedule gets kind of messed up, but in general I play better in the evening. So
I can't do anything about the volume. Sorry, you guys.
Rakesh from chess.com India. Question to both players. There have been only 2 instances of challengers coming back from a 2-game deficit. UA in 1935 and Fischer in 1972. But of course, those were timeless matches. But here we have a 14-game limit. So how hard or easy it's going to be for the challenger to make a comeback here?
I would, it's hard to say, but I'm in a pretty good spot now, but it doesn't make any sense to me to try and compare it with other historical matches. It's better to be leading than not to be leading. That's for sure.
Jan?
No, well, once again, I would repeat that it would be much better to have an equal score. But as it seems to me, chess-wise, at least until today's game, didn't experience any serious issues. So that's why I'm quite optimistic. But of course, it's somehow a harder task than I expected.
Hans Orbakken from NRK. Question to Magnus. How much have you been working with your schedule regarding relaxing and sleeping since the long game on Friday?
Yeah, it's been really it's been tough, and I think I really need this free day to recharge a bit and get back in a proper rhythm.
What are you going to do tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm just happy to have a rest day and have some time off.
Thank you.
My question is to Magnus. Bronstein dreamt of a whole game of chess, which was later published in a book. So do you dream about chess? Any novelties or anything?
Yeah, I dream about chess from time to time. Don't remember if it's happened during the match so far.
I believe we have one more question.
Hans Zimmer, the Chessable. Yesterday, Magnus, I asked you about the general opening strategy. Do you think your 2-point lead will trigger a drastic change in opening approach?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of up to him. As I said yesterday as well, at some point you kind of have to mix it up. Whether that point has come, I'm not sure. But it's more up to him than to me.
So would you say this Kuni 1 decision? Would you say that there was some psychological influence of this based on your win in Game 6?
Slight, but most of all, I was just tired, and I was, pretty happy to swap down to a position that I couldn't lose. I mean, I was slightly hoping that he would not follow up h5 with a queen trade, but I didn't expect the game to be very long at that point. And as you said, it's easier to make these kind of decisions with the lead. With an equal score, I probably would have felt obliged to do something different, even if it didn't suit my mood.
So, based on that answer, would you say that, from a psychological perspective, you've been making decisions based on that, or, in general, do you think that's something you've been taking into account in this match?
I would say a little bit, but not too much. No.
Thank you.
We don't have a question for Twitter today, so I'll ask this last one then. Jan, before this match, you must have prepared psychologically and game theoried what happens if you're down a couple of games. Not that you wanted it, but it could certainly happen. Any thoughts as you'd like to share as your mindset and your preparation to now handling the situation?
No, obviously that wasn't planned.
Magnus, I'd ask you, would you relax now? But I guess another question then would be, do you try to shut things down and force him to come after you?
No answer here.
We will see, won't we?
Yeah, no answer.
But I mean, the match clock is in my favor. That's for sure.
All right. Well, that concludes the press conference for today. Tomorrow there will be no game. It will be a rest day. The next day will begin at 16:30 on Tuesday. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great night.
Yeah. All right, you guys. So there's a lot to talk about that I will talk about just briefly. We're also going to do a recap of the game as well. But here's what I want to say. Let me up my mic as well because it's too. There we go. That's better. The following, actually, let me stop the music so I can hear myself. There are a couple things I want to say. There are a few things. First things first. Here's what I would say. First things first, the questions by Hans and Maurice are very good questions, but you're not going to get an honest answer because they're going to give away too much if they answer it honestly. Like, Magnus could very easily say that he's going to play something dry and try to draw, but that gives away too much. So it's kind of tricky, when you ask these questions, because they are good questions, but the fact is, at the end of the day, you're not going to get an honest answer from either player. So that's just what I would say about the questions, that they're good, but you're just not going to get an answer from either player. So that's the first thing I would say. Second thing that's really important that I'm going to add is that Jan, you can clearly tell that Jan's evaluations are off. You can tell that he's too optimistic when he's looking at the positions. The fact that he thought that here he could play like King F8 and it would be a draw no matter what really shows you that he's not being objective and he's assuming that he's always fine, and he's overestimating his positions a little bit too much. I think it's actually really evident that you're seeing that, because you can see Magnus thought that it's probably equal, but he has lasting chances. and Jan is thinking that he could have played anything and drawn. And I think that's actually the biggest issue that Jan has. He's just being too optimistic about his positions. That's what I would say. I can still play anything. Yeah, that's the biggest. Ali Reza maybe does the same, but he's brought it back quite a bit from what I've seen. So that's actually the biggest takeaway for me, is that the fact that Jan thought that there was no difference between King F8 and Queen E7 shows me that he's not being objective. Yes, it was a draw with perfect play, obviously, but it was not easy to play, and that's kind of the thing that it's very clear to me that he's starting to lose that. He's just losing that a little bit, and that's why he played King F8 rather than Queen E7. And I mean, make no mistake, Game 6, as Magnus said, Game 6 changed the whole course of the match, obviously. But it's definitely true that he's just too optimistic. So, all right, you guys, I'm gonna take one short break as you